Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Last Page podcast. We are your hosts, Niki and Mariana.
Hi, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Onyx Storm. And I, for one, am so ready.
I am so excited. I feel like we've been chomping at the bit to talk about this. And I've been having a really hard come down from this book. Like, I'm so sad to be done with it.
I am so happy to be done with it. And I was left very confused. So I'm very excited to talk about it. But I think I was happy that it ended. But I was just also, I didn't know how to feel. It was like a lot of emotions. It was a roller coaster.
I literally started rereading it like immediately after finishing it because I was so, like, I've never had a book hangover like this. I feel like the next day I woke up and I was actually sad and I was like, I need to touch grass. Like
that feeling is actually the worst. And that's how I felt and why I kept rereading ACOTAR. Like I reread ACOTAR like 5 times because I couldn't let go.
It's weird because ACOTAR is like still by far and away my favorite series, but this felt different. I don't know if it's just because now we don't have the next book. Like, I don't know what it is, you know?
It's because you're kind of left hanging. That's why I love a good series. You will always catch me reading series because then I can read one and then I'm hooked and then I can read the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and then it never ends.
And then you never have to be done. Yeah, I feel like, and even though ACOTAR is not completed, it felt more like a complete series to me because we were left with a lot less big questions as in this
How is it not completed?
It's not completed. There's going to be more books. You don't know that? There's like still so much to, I mean,
but there was a whole ending.
Maybe we can do a whole.
I got closure.
But like, yes, but there's so much like, we can't talk about ACOTAR because
we can't.
Maybe we'll do an episode about, we need to reread that series.
But
honestly.
you know, actually I don't remember. I think I read Fourth Wing late in the game. So then by the time I finished it, Iron Flame had also just come out. So I kind of got them back to back.
Well, she released them really quick.
Okay, so maybe that's what happened with me, actually. Not that I was like, oh, I read it late.
I mean, to be fair, I think that she released the first 2 within like a year of each other. And then this one now, she said in an interview, she's going to write a contemporary because she kind of flips back and forth. And then she's going to spend her summer off with her kids. Like she's going to like take a break, which like great for your mental health. I love that. Like I fully support it, but also like
Rebecca, I don't love that. Rebecca, I need you to get back in your little cave and write your little book. Yeah.
So I'm going to be sad. Also, sorry if anyone can hear my neighbors vacuuming. It's like a really rude time to be doing that, but I think since we fixed our audio issues. Oh, also thank you everyone for bearing with us through our first episode and for all the love that you gave us. It was so sweet and nice and it's been fun to connect with everyone. We had some technical difficulties, which might continue, but you know what? We're doing our very, very best.
We really tried to take our time and figure everything out. As you guys can probably see, I'm not holding my mic, which I think will help. And also we have little silencers, whatever they're called.
We can't really say what we've been calling them. So you can't hear the
people upstairs running around at 7:59 p.m.
Yeah, okay, so I think we touched on this in the last episode, but if people are now tuning in new, I live in Southern California. Mariana lives in London. So we are working on a crazy time difference. But today we're recording a little bit earlier, so it's like 8 p.m. for her and not 10 p.m.
No, last time it was 11:30, you guys. I think I said it.
That is crazy.
I learned my lesson. I think that we are going to get on a better schedule. But yeah, thank you for all of the love. We're so excited and I'm ready to dive into Onyx Storm if you are. I think Niki and I are going to butt heads.
But we're about to have an on-camera fight. And I'm convinced that by the end of this you'll see my side because I'm really adamant about this.
Yeah, okay. I told you how I feel.
Yeah, you did. That. You guys are gonna please feel free to leave her hate comments if you want. I mean, you could leave some for me too.
Feel free to not leave me hate comments.
Okay, the way that we kind of came up with this outline is, well, disclaimer, we did film like half of this video and then had issues, and now we're doing it the next day or 2 days later. Yeah. So we're going to kind of go through, obviously, there's going to be spoilers for Onyx Storm. We're deep diving the entire book. So if you have not read Onyx Storm, like spoilers. you need to leave. And this is under the assumption that you've read the first 2, obviously, as well, because we're just going to pick up right from the beginning. But we're going to go chronologically through the book. Talk about theories, explain everything, quotes here and there. And then at the end, we'll do some like wrap up questions and some other fun thing.
And then if you guys have any other questions, drop them in the Spotify chat and we can try to answer them on Instagram or anything. I feel like we did a pretty good job, but if there's anything that you guys theorize on, like, I want to hear it all.
I feel like there's so much.
Niki keeps telling me theories and I'm like, no.
Yeah. Well, all of this I'm seeing from TikTok. Like, I hope I don't have anybody's handles like as credit in here because I feel like there's been so many theories floating around that I've seen, but all credit to most of this is to the TikTok people because I cannot come up with this. I've just been deep diving on it.
I just feel a lot and I'm like, isn't that crazy? And Niki's like, yeah, there's a whole theory about that. Like,
yeah. But you pick up on stuff better than I do, I think.
Yeah, that's one of my comments on her style. We can kind of start just like thoughts, but the way that she wrote this book felt very modern to me. Like, I felt like a lot of the dialogue felt a lot more modern. Am I crazy to think that like they didn't curse this much in the first book?
I don't remember actually.
I don't remember either. I felt like there was a lot more cursing. I don't care, but like there was a lot more cursing, and there was a lot of those, like, I told you this, a lot of, like, weird, like, foreshadowing that
where it's,
she
like,
made
too obvious.
Very obvious.
Yeah, I did notice that, actually, also. And there was one thing that I thought was an odd writing. Well, first of all, when I started reading this book, I was like, wait, I kind of forgot her writing is, like, not very good. And I remember thinking that the first two, I definitely, by the time I'm into the plot of the book, I forget about it. But I don't think that her writing is like the best writing of all time.
I don't think so either. And I think it might be because she's writing from a perspective of a literal 10-year-old. Like, how old is Violet? 16 or something?
She's
like,
no, my God, she's like 20.
Oh.
They're like college age.
Oh.
Yeah, she's like 20, and I think that because they're in college, so she's like 20.
I thought she was like 16. I said 10, but like I meant like 16. I thought she was 16.
No, she's like 21 or something.
Okay. Well, anyway, I guess in my mind I was like, oh, her writing is kind of wackadoodle because she's writing from like literal perspective of a teenager.
Yeah, she's like young. Yeah, well, I mean, they're so immature, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I see what you mean. And also the other thing that she would do a lot in this book, like, for example, when Dane had to steal the books from his dad's office, it was like she made, okay, this is going to be this big crazy thing that we need to do. And then it was like, 10 days later, here's your book. Like, she just like skipped over some stuff.
She jumped a lot, I felt, more so than in her previous book. She jumped from like one big moment to that happened and this is how we reacted to it, or like that happened and this is how I feel about it, more like in, I guess, like retrospective in a way where we didn't get to I wish that we could have gone in and seen how Dane, or read how Dane stole the books from his dad. Like, what was it that easy? He was away and he just went in there where there was no booby traps.
Well, yeah, I was surprised that wasn't. And then I guess it's like, I mean, we don't need to know the details of it, but also like the book, I feel like the book could have been longer if she wanted to. I wouldn't have been mad about it. So it's like maybe she wanted to cut some of that out so it wasn't super long.
Yeah, maybe her editor made her do that.
Yeah. But it also,
maybe it was probably like 1,000 pages and then her editor was like, you can't do this. And we're like, give us the 10-minute version.
Yeah, please. I know that's so true. I feel like it didn't really lose any of the plot of the story by doing that, but it also like could have been helpful.
Yeah.
For like Dane's character development and stuff. It would have been interesting to know.
Yeah. I do feel like she does a good job with the foreshadowing, more so in the previous books, but I think it gives us enough where like we can kind of piece things together. And I'm sure like for her, that's probably like the most fun part.
Oh, I don't even know how authors do that, because sometimes these plot twists, I'm like, how would you, but she said that she has the entire series mapped out already. So she knows how everything's going to end. She knows like the beginning and end. She just has to like write the book to get to that.
Yeah. It's probably like, you know, when you're like the meme or the emoji or whatever, the meme of the like, people going like this. She's like, and then how are we going to get this person to this place?
That's how I felt going back and doing all our highlights.
Huh?
That's how I felt going back and doing all our highlights. Like, oh, she said this and these. But okay, speaking to your point of when she was like, oh, this and this happened, weird. I need that kind of stuff as a reader to be like, maybe I should pick up on this. And even still, I'm always surprised. But it's because I just read like da 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 da, you know.
I also do some of the notes in here. I'm like, did you also notice that? And you're like, yeah, but that wasn't really that important. But random things stand out to me, I think, because I'm looking to be aware of like the things that aren't normal. But it's like, it's also a fake world. Like none of this is normal.
Yeah. That's true.
It's like, oh, then she put her hair up with the pink ponytail. Like,
yeah, it's like, what do you mean? Well, oh my God. I literally just before we started recording, I forgot to even say this. And maybe I'll just drop this now because I don't know if it's true. There was a theory about Imogen's hair being pink. And it's like, why out of all of the time, like you're in a full on battle and stuff. Like, why are you worried about your hair, like re-dyeing your hair? Because apparently in the end of Iron Flame, it talked about her like re-dyeing her hair pink or whatever. And it's like, why would she be so adamant if she didn't have like silver hair like Violet or something?
Oh my
Because
God.
it's like, why would, and I it's
thought
like
I
these are the
imagined
things I
that
see
her
on
hair
TikTok.
was pink. I thought I imagined
No.
it because they didn't talk about it in this book at all.
But it's not like her hair grows pink because nobody else has weird color. That's like not part of the world, right? Having like fantastical hair colors.
Yeah.
So it's like, why is this girl dyeing her hair pink so much?
I didn't even
Think about
that.
it. If you have like icy blonde hair, like pink would lay on top of that really easily. It's not like she's bleaching it and then dyeing it.
And I
you know
do
what I
have
mean?
icy blonde hair, so I do know that. Yeah, you're so right.
But think about like if you had to dye your hair pink. Like imagine her hair grew out your color. She would have to bleach it and pink dye it so much. Like that's
in the middle
crazy.
of a war.
Yeah, in the middle. Exactly. So it's like, is that just like a plot hole that Rebecca didn't think about and just gave her pink hair? Or is it like
is
something
this dumb?
different?
Didn't Rebecca at one point have pink hair? Did I imagine that?
She does have pink hair on her ends, I think.
So maybe she just was like, I am Imogen, she is I. She is me.
Yeah, like a little ode to her.
Maybe.
Anyway, that's a random out of the box theory to start us off. Yeah. But okay, do you want to start from the beginning? Take us through.
Yes. Yeah, do you want me to just kick off?
Yes.
Okay, so we're taking it from the beginning, everyone. Like Niki said, if you haven't read Iron Flame, go read it right now and then come back to this video after. But essentially, the book picks up from where we left off in Iron Flame, and we know that Zenon turned Venin at the end of Iron Flame, and then Violet, we know now, she knows, and she's helping him essentially hide it from everybody. He keeps telling her, do not trust me, sweetie. Like, I am not trustworthy. I am not worthy of your love. And she's like, I don't care. I love you so much, Zayden. Woo. And essentially what she's doing in the entire book is trying to find a cure for him because she feels like even though he's Venin, he hasn't lost part of his soul. Like, he is whole. He keeps saying, like, I'm not whole. I lost part of me. And she's not having any of it. So they essentially are still in... Also, you guys, I'm not going to pronounce any of these names right at all. So just know now you're going to be mad and I don't care. They're in the college and...
I think it's Basgiath. I always in my head said Basgiath, but that sounds dumb.
Because you say Basgiath.
Yeah,
it's wrong.
But I think it's Basgiath.
They're in Basgiath. In my mind, it's basket. And what I read these and like they make no sense. Essentially because Zayden is Venin, he can sense them. So they're under attack and he tells Venin, or he tells Violet, I can sense them. And so she's like, what the heck? Like, I didn't realize you could do that. They attack. The scribes are dressed, Venins are dressed as scribes. And essentially one of the things that I noticed in the beginning of the chapter, the first part of the book, is that she notes how the Venin leave a gray handprint when they, I guess, feed. I'm going to call it feeding because that's how I think about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is like feeding. Yeah.
And she knows, and she said, there's no mistaking the gray handprint marking the side of his cheek, aka they came in, they raided the healer's quadrant, and they killed a bunch of the people there.
Yeah.
So, go on.
Well, so this is also the first time that we meet Theophany. Which, again, I kind of was like, if she's this, like, big, bad, crazy maven, like, did we meet her or see glimpses of her at all in the previous books, or we just heard about her being the maven?
I literally, I thought that the sage was the maven.
Well, I think maven is the highest, right? When it comes to the ranks.
Yeah, probably.
It's like initiate, and then asim, and then sage, and then maven, I think is the order.
Correcto.
Potentially. But anyway, Theophany is the maven. First of all, stupid name. Theophany. Hello. What is that? Dumb. But when they go down. Basically, there's Venom in the college trying to rescue and pull Jack out of there because they have Jack Barlow down in the cell. Yep. And Theophany and a couple other Venom are down there having an altercation. And her, I think it's, who is it? Her, Bodhi, or her, Riddick, and Rhiannon go down there. And she sees Theophany and notes her. And she was like, oh, she has like a ruby hilted sword, and she notes that she has a silver braid like Violet has, and she has a faded tattoo on her forehead. So these are all the things she kind of points out. And then Theophany like disappears out of there, which is really weird. Yeah. And Xaden comes in, sweeps his shadows in there because he could sense them, so he knew that they were down there. And then he killed them all, and he was like, they were fine.
And I think this is in the beginning where she says, like, I could feel the gray shadows that feel like home, which then is like later in the book will be a callback because then he turns evil.
Yeah. So, yeah, she feels his shadows. And then when he finally shows up, I was like, oh my God.
Oh, he goes, like, why is it always you? Or why do I keep having to save you? Or he says something like that.
Obsessed. So then basically they kind of, moving forward, their plan is obviously, her plan with Xaden is to find the cure, but then the greater plan for like all the scenarium and all the leadership is they want to find the 7th breed of dragon, Andarna's kind, in order to raise the wards for Erasia, Navarre, and like hopefully that's going to be like the cure, and they think that that's going to solve all their problems basically when they find the Irids, which is Andarna's kind.
Exactly. And the entire book, you kind of will go through the journey of the cure finding the dragon, and they go to a bunch of different islands, which is kind of essentially the majority of the book.
Yeah. And before they go off to the islands, they kind of did like a weird little like side quest to this other place, and a bunch of people died, and Violet wasn't in charge. And so then she comes back and she's like, okay, now that we've tried it your way, like we're going to do it me and Andarna's way. And they were kind of weird about, they didn't like meet all her demands, but they were like, oh, you have to bring Halden with you, who's the prince that is Violet's ex, first of all. And we never touched on this, Mariana, but like when Halden comes in and he's like, oh, Violet, like you remember me? We used to date. And Xaden's so jealous, and he like comes in and like pins him up. Oh, you did?
I wrote it in here that, I mean, it just in general, like some of my favorite Xaden moments, that is one of them. Like, how jealous. Did you love him? Like, hello?
Yeah. And she was like, well, I like kind of thought I did. And he was like so sad about that. Because he never loved Kat, like, anyway. And Halden's like just like a big loser. Like, he's such a baby. Yeah. But so then we can go to where they start the mission to visit all the islands. So first of all, they put Halden in a little Easter basket and fly him over there.
That was my favorite. That was my second favorite.
Well, because the dragons were not going to carry him, and luckily the griffins are like nice, and so they put him in a little basket and fly him. The griffins have to hold him in their claws and like fly him over there because he's like so lame. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's like a storm.
And that takes us essentially to the first island, which is Deverelli. One thing to note is that all of the Serenium wanted to go north, but after that failed, and from the beginning, really, Violet was adamant of like, we should start in the south. So she ends up winning that. And so they start in the island in the south of Deverelli.
Because the dad's book.
Correcto.
So she, in the meantime, before they leave.
Crowfin or something.
Yes. So Violet's dad had left one of his like journal novel books in her mom's former office hidden, and Violet had never saved it when she left or whatever. So now Dane's dad is like the general or whatever, and so she has to send Dane in there. He has to get the book out, but in the book they did that whole thing where it was like there was a password to open it. It was like your first love, whatever. And
the password was he left her mom's dragon's name.
Yes. And basically they had her dad had left her a note that said, you need to go to Deverelli. You need to take your most valuable possession. You need to get these books because that's where I left all the knowledge for you, and trust only Mira. Like, in case you're reading this, like me and Brennan are now dead. Like, I've joined Brennan with Malik, and you need to trust only Mira and whatever. Know. And I know. And people are kind of like, well, if he said trust only Mira, does that mean he didn't trust Brennan? But I'm like, if he thought Brennan was dead, I don't think, because people are kind of using that as foreshadowing for Brennan to be evil. But I'm like, but
Yeah.
he thought Brendan was dead, so.
I think that he just thought Brendan was dead because they
I
were
think
so
so,
devastated. And also, I think Brendan's death gave him a heart attack.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure that's why he passed away.
But in any case, so that's where partially why they also went to Deverelli was to try and get the books.
Exactly. So that brings us to Deverelli, which is my personal favorite because I think the funniest thing in the book happened here. They get to Deverelli. A few things happen where Halden, the big freaking baby, gets to go to the king of Deverelli's house just to kind of warm him up, just say he's an aristocrat, you know, I am worthy, like you should have dinner with me and hang out with me, King Cortland and his panthers. They end up going to Cortland's house. Meanwhile, that is happening and that he's befriending him. The gang, the cool kids, go over to
the
find
quest squad, as
the
they
quest
Riddick
squad.
would
Oh
say.
yeah, that's what they call it. The quest squad. It goes over to find Norelli, who is the person that the dad in the book told her, go find Norelli. She's your girl. She has the books for you. So they're there, and when they're there, my favorite part is they're fighting, and obviously they show up and everybody's like, what are you doing here? And they're like, no, we're here looking for the books and Norelli. And then she shows us, and she's like a 90-year-old woman. And she's like, you have made it. You are Asher's daughter, Sorengale. And she goes, because Dane is there and Zayden is there and Mira is there. And she says, have to admit, the kind of confident violence isn't what I pictured when Asher talked about you. But the brown hair, those, I guess, are brown eyes, and how utterly smitten he predicted you two would eventually be for each other. Well, that describes you almost perfectly, Dane. And I was like, and Dane
And
goes,
everybody's like,
Dane goes, how do
God.
we want to handle this?
and Mira and Riddick were like cracking
Laughing
and had to like leave. And Mira's so serious, and that was so
She's like
funny.
cracking up, and then she's like, excuse me, I have to go. And then Zane's like PO'd. Because he had been nice, I guess, like when he first got there, he was in such a good mood because he didn't have any magic. And no magic means he couldn't try to channel from the earth. And he was so jolly. Everybody's like, why is he smiling?
Zayden was. Yeah.
Zayden was. And he was telling Dane that he, you know, friends forever kind of vibes. And then after that, he's like, oh, he went back to literally loathing Dane. And that was my personal favorite part.
I loved that too.
They end up getting the books. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say they end up getting the books after Violet answers a few questions from Norelli. I think they were pretty. I think she tried to make it hard for her, right? I think it was like 3 questions. If you can answer these 3 questions, why?
And wasn't she asking her like? It was like she wanted the tea. Like, I should have looked at this before, but she asked her something about like, oh, well, like, did you love the prince before? Like, what happened to your first love? Like, wasn't she asking about that?
She was like this, like, and then what happened? And then what happened? Like, that's
she's
how
like
it
the
felt
like sassy, and the daughter is like, mom, like, oh, because she said something about like him being like a lover or something, and she was like, I'm not old. Just because I'm old doesn't mean I'm not like I don't still got it.
Yeah. But, and then, so those were her follow-up questions. Before that, she asked like the 3 questions that got her the book. And then she was curious about why she ended up with, and she knew Zayden's dad. She's like, oh, Fen Rearson's son. I don't think he saw that coming.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that she knew who he was, but maybe he's just a popular guy.
Yeah. I wonder if she'll come back into play at some point, because I feel like she knew more than she kind of let on.
I think so too. Especially because I think for how long the dad was there.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was like they traded goods. I don't know. It was, and he wrote about them.
Because he did the books were like all the information that on all the southern isles that he went to. Because he had more information on all of the islands. So she needed
and
that
all of
info.
their fauna and their
which came into play. Yeah, you're right.
At first she's like, why did he write so much about this? And then that came into play later, which I thought was a good little tying that up, Rebecca. Good job.
Yes.
So while they're there, then they go back, they get the books, they go back to the hotel.
The hotel.
Or whatever. What is it called? The palace.
Was it? Yeah. Or weren't they staying in like the woods? Is this what happened when they came in the woods? Not they came in the woods, you know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean.
Anyway, but unimportant. So they go back and Halden was being dumb. And
They
he
go
screwed
back.
everything up.
They go back to the hotel, and Xaden and Violet are hanging out, being really wholesome. And then Mira and Riddick show up, and they're like, he's keeping Halden. King Cortland decided to keep Halden, and they're like, wait, what do you mean? And essentially, they show up. I think that the approach that Violet took was actually really interesting because she says like, oh, he doesn't like lies. Like, don't lie to him and don't promise something you won't be able to act on or like fulfill, basically. And so she's like, Halden, what the heck did you do, dude? And he's like, I didn't do anything. And then King Cortland is basically PO'd, so angry. Apparently he's been trying to use his little troop to steal back jewels. And
well, yeah, because Halden brought his like right hand like bodyguard lady, and she was the one. He was like, oh yeah, she was trying to steal stuff, and this whole thing with the meat. You need to talk about this panther thing because this was crazy. Mariana is a genius.
So this is just a theory, you guys, and please, if anybody knows anything, let us know. My theory with the panthers in general was that Nikki and I both felt like it was kind of really modern. Like a modern animal in like a fairy tale world. Like obviously dragons may or may not be real, but panthers are definitely real. So I was like, oh, maybe it's symbolic. Like maybe it symbolizes something. We talked about it. I never looked into it. Looked into it last night. And apparently in the Bible, I'm reading this off of Google it. In the Bible, panthers symbolize God, Christ, and are depicted in Christian bestiaries. The panther's sweet breath, multicolored coat, and protective nature are all symbolic of Christ. Okay, fair. And then I looked it up deeper. The counterpart of a panther is a dragon, which represents evil /
That is like the craziest thing.
So I was like, Nikki, do you think this means something?
Because like, how is the counterpart of a panther a dragon? That's so random. Like, there's no way that's a coincidence.
I know. I don't think so, but I also don't know what it could mean besides like.
I don't think it necessarily means anything for the future. I feel like it was just Rebecca's way of being like, oh, here's like a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah, here's like the evil. I guess because Cortland was evil in theory.
Okay, apologies, guys. The camera cut off. Again, working on our issues. That's pretty much it for Deverelli, I think. Is there anything else we need to add for this?
I think maybe the fact that he channeled from the conduit.
Yes. Oh, and then your note in here too about the king at the end where she was like, oh, there's like a trade, something about the trade.
Yeah. So after he channels, he's mad at himself, crawls up in a ball and stares at the wall. The king says to Violet, if you are amiable, there is another trade I might be able to broker for you. And she goes, I'm listening. And that's the end of the chapter. That's the end of Deverelli. So that is kind of left as a like, what the heck could that have been? If anybody knows, I don't think we saw it being tied back to again in the book for the rest of the book. So I don't actually know if it was supposed to mean anything or more of like he was trying to be on her good side.
I don't remember ever hearing anything else about that. So I feel like that was like kind of an open-ended, unless we missed it, but I don't remember that. So.
Yep.
Interesting. So then after Deverelli, they went back home and basically the scenarium kind of was like, oh, now we're going to send you off again and to go to all the other islands. But you have to come back and forth in between every island. And they were like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to take Halden. Like, we don't want to do any of this. And so Arik was kind of like, okay, surprise, guys. I've been the prince this whole time. And Halden was like, what the heck? I've been looking for you.
It's me.
Yeah. And he was like, screw you. We're leaving. Quest squad out. We're going back out. And so they leave Halden and now they're back at the Southern Isles and they're just on their own. They've kind of defied orders and they knew that they were going to be like in big trouble when they get back, but they were like, if we come back with the Irids, all will be forgiven. So whatever. So now they're going to Umbriel next, right? Which is the Isle of Dune. So each island, aside from Deverelli, has their own god or goddess that they kind of worship. So Umbriel is the Isle of Dune, which is the strength and war goddess. So this is where they have to fight hand-to-hand combat with people in order to win their favor and get to talk to. There's like a set of tests on every island of how they get to talk to the queen and whoever. And this is the one where they had to fight each other to go. So when they get there, it was weird because they were kind of, was this the one where they already were expecting them? There was like people.
No, this is the one where they show up and no, that they weren't expecting them.
That was for the next
one.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is the one where Violet was seeing some people who had similar hair color to hers. And she was kind of like, what is going on here? Like, why do these people have the silver hair, right?
Yeah,
and then
this is it.
The priestess said to her, "It's good we did not complete your dedication, but do you not yearn for the temple? Usually the touch creates such longing that you can't help but return. Or perhaps you now favor another god. I still see us among your potential paths should you decide to take it." So Violet is like, what are you talking about? Complete my dedication. Like she didn't know what she was talking about. And she was like, that's weird.
Yeah. She's like, what the heck? I don't even know you people.
Yeah. So that was kind of a weird foreshadowing. And she's like, oh, I still see you among our paths. Like sketchy. And then they go into this arena and Violet is noticing like all the emblems of warfare because Dune is the goddess of strength and war. So
then I thought that it was interesting that one of them was books. So throughout the tour that they're like walking into, she's noticing a few things. And I don't know if you noticed this too, Nikki, but she keeps being like, oh, one of them is books. Weird. And then she says something about, she notices a few other things and Taryn kind of shuts her down. It's like, now's not the time. You need to focus. Now's not the time. You need to focus.
Yeah.
And that's when she notices the books. And then she also notices the
like silver-haired people.
With the silver hair.
Yeah, that was weird. And I feel like, so when they get there, the main lady is like, okay, we've got these two big buff dudes that are going to fight you guys. So she pulls out Xaden and she pulls out Dane to fight them. And then she's like, oh, surprise, you're their leader, like Violet. So now I'm going to fight you. And she has to fight this lady. Come to find later that it actually was the queen that she was fighting. But
Your Majesty.
Yeah. And so they basically have to, and Violet's like, I don't want to kill this girl. So I'm just going to fight until she like yields or whatever. And she was really stressed about Dane and Xaden too. And she's like, okay, I guess they can handle their own. But then this is where, and like on all of these islands, they're not supposed to have any power, like any magic.
Yeah.
But then it's like raining and she's fighting and she gets all worked up. Like that was really weird.
I thought it was weird. Because, again, I don't think we talked about it when they were in Dev Valley, but when they got there, their magic is completely gone. And no one can, we didn't talk about this, Nikki, no one can communicate with their dragons.
Oh, except for Violet.
For Violet.
Yeah.
She's the only one that can talk to both Andarna and Taryn. So.
Which is weird.
I feel like her power maybe gets stronger throughout the islands. TBD.
Yeah. And I kind of wonder if that has something to do with the fact that they did try to dedicate her to Dune. So maybe they have like she has some like residual power from that, like being on the island.
Yeah.
Because like what else would be the explanation? Because you would think that if she could communicate with Taryn and Andarna, she'd be able to communicate with Xaden. But she can't. But then, yeah, so you put this quote in here too. When she's fighting, she like lightning strikes as she's getting the girl to yield, and it says, rage devours me from the scalp down, storming through my veins in a surge of heat that sizzles the rain on my skin. And normally when she goes to yield her lightning, she describes it as, I'm sizzling, I'm hot, like she's getting hot, and Taryn's always like, don't burn out, you know? And so it's like, why would they say that and then lightning strikes if it's not her power? Even though she kept being like, I didn't do that, I didn't wield that lightning strike. But it's like,
yeah, the queen asks her like, hey girl, how did you do that? And she's like, oh, I didn't, and there's no magic here. And she's like, well, you literally just shattered a 700-year-old rock that was very important to us. And she's like, no, that wasn't me. And then Xaden asks her again, how did you do that? And she's like, no, there's no magic here. And I feel like if there was magic for everyone, he would have felt it, right? Because he's supposed to channel from the earth.
Yeah. Well, and he said
maybe
that
it's
having
special for her.
Well, because like he definitely didn't feel it because he's been so happy and feeling so calm because he's like, oh, I don't have magic. I don't have to stress and like be all uptight all the time because he's normally worried about channeling or whatever. But there's definitely something going on with her specifically. And I think it's just because like my guess is that we haven't seen even close to the extent of her power yet. Obviously, she's like still developing the signet with Andarna. That's a whole weird, combination that she had, because Andarna is like this special fancy dragon, like that hasn't really bonded to anyone before. I just feel like Violet is so powerful that
I know
it extends. But then I wonder, like,
but you know what pisses me off? Why does she need that little tiny ornament, like, to yield her power?
She doesn't. It's just because she's like stressed about it, I think. She because her power, I think, is so powerful that she needs the conduit to help her strike accurately. Because she could strike without it, but it's just going to go wherever. She can't. She hasn't learned how to.
You also picture it as like a little Christmas tree ornament.
I literally picture it as like an orb, like a glowing little orb. Yeah, like
And she has it like in a little bracelet.
I'm like, girl, you are so lame. You're like the most powerful like bee on this continent. You get your shit together. You know what I mean?
No, actually.
So then it
ends with her being like, no, there's no magic. And then she talks to the queen and she's like, oh, I did not know this was you. And she's like, well, it's fine. I didn't want you to know. It was meant to be like that. She asks the queen to be her ally in the war. And she says no. And then she asks her for 12 widow eggs of dragons.
How dare she? She wants them dwagons. And I'm like, those dwagons don't want you. So no.
She says, bring us, say, 12 eggs, 2 of each breed. That's specific. And I'll bring you my army.
Although, does that mean that she doesn't know about the Irids? Because 12, 2 of each breed, that's only 6. But maybe it's because they don't have any.
And so that's why they were disappointed, because they're like, oh, they have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, remember, yeah.
Because in theory, they're looking for the 7th dragon.
Yeah, true. And they're looking for armies, I guess. But then you need to talk about the symbol, because I feel like this will come into play later, and I think that has something to do with it.
So as they're walking through the palace, she says their chest plates.
Yeah.
They find. Sorry, I think I didn't actually type it correctly in my notes.
Oh, well, it's basically that she sees that
the symbol of 2 crossed swords gripped in the center by a claw, the emblem of Dune, similar to ours. She calls that out as she's walking through, and that's one of the things that Taryn goes, hey girl, stop that, you need to focus.
Is it on the book? Do we know the Navarre symbol? I guess it doesn't really show. But basically, she said that their symbol is similar to theirs, which is like kind of interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because of, again, all of the symbols of warfare, and then the book one. It was a lot of symbols that she was noticing because she's a smart girl, and everyone was kind of like, no, don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not important.
Like I wonder if that has anything, like if Taryn actually was genuinely like, okay, you need to focus because otherwise you're going to die, because she gets distracted, or if he kind of was like, oh, I don't know if she needs to know that right now. Like I love Taryn with my whole soul, but I think that he's hiding things from her because he's done that in the past, and he's like, well, you just didn't like ask the right questions. And she's like, well, why would you hold that from me? So I feel like there's something that he kind of knows that we don't.
He's like a little wordsmith. He'll be like, well, you didn't ask. I'm like,
what do you mean?
It's like lying by omission.
Well, which is what her and Xaden did the whole last book. So it's like, I thought we were done with this miscommunication trope, Taryn. Like, why are you feeding into this? So
he goes, I saved it. And first of all, if you guys don't have notes and highlights on your Kindle, like, you're missing out, because I just discovered it last night, I will say. I glance at their chest plates and find the etched symbol of 2 swords gripped in the center by the claw, the emblem of Dune. It's similar to ours, I tell Taryn, as we cross under the thick gate. They have a claw in their symbol, suggesting a common origin. He says, focus now, analyze later. He demands as we enter the next section.
Interesting.
Suggesting a common origin, which I guess would make sense if she was trying to be dedicated there. They're like, oh, it's like common enough where the Amari and Dune are friends. Like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, because Amari is like the god of the gods, right? Isn't Amari like the biggest god? Like the Zeus of them all?
Well, don't tell the other people that, but I don't think so. I don't know. I tried to look up what Amari represented, and to be honest, I couldn't find anything via Google. So
Interesting. Okay, well, that's just
Anybody
something
knows.
to bookmark in our heads for next book.
Yeah, highlighted it.
Okay, so now they're done with Unbriel, and they go to Hedotus, which is the Isle of Hedion, which is knowledge. Okay, so we're on to the next island. So this is where the mom shows up, and that was crazy. I literally, my jaw.
I gasped.
Oh my God, my jaw smacked the floor. That was crazy.
I was like,
Mama?
Papa, Mama?
Mama. Yeah, so yeah, they get there and they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is great. It's the Isle of Knowledge. It's going to be so chill. It's going to be great."
And are you going to say that it literally was not in there with dead birds? Are you going to say that?
Okay, I don't remember the dead birds. So you need to talk about this.
I picked up on a lot of the world building when they first got there, which was they talked about how the grass was green and they swept their hands through it, and then it was actually kind of gray. And they talked about how a whole community built on knowledge. Yes, please. Okay. All of it was the same color, equal distance. It was very uniform.
Oh, yeah.
And then one of them had to prove themselves. And then I noticed that they said we had to sidestep a dead bird. That freaked me out.
That is weird.
I felt like it was very eerie. It was like very surface level, and then when they got there and like obviously they saw how everybody actually was, and I was telling Nikki, this reminded me, if anybody has watched The Divergence, I think it was the similar to them, it was like the intelligence sector, the erudites, where they were like smart but they were actually like the most evil, if I say so myself, but that reminded me of that. And then the dead bird thing was really weird.
Well, because I feel like knowledge, it's like knowledge is power, as they
what
say.
You make of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I feel like with knowledge, it's like comes a lot of evil. But yeah, that is weird, and it's definitely like creepy foreshadowing.
Yeah,
I wonder if that symbolizes something a dead bird. We should have looked that up. Kind of like the Panthers.
She also says how they essentially got rid of what was there before to build something better.
Yeah, it's giving utopia.
Exactly.
Ooh, dystopian. So yeah, basically the mom is there. And if you don't remember, Xaden's mom was married to his dad. What was his name again? Fen Ryerson. And they were married to form an alliance.
10 years.
Had Xaden. On his 10th birthday, she left. And she wanted to take Xaden, allegedly. And then she was like, no, he was going to not let me take you or whatever. So she peaced out. She escaped because she was like, I don't even love this man. Like, I'm gone. So then she made it over here to Hedotus, and she married the guy, one of the triumvirate people.
I think she's from Hedotus.
Yeah, maybe that's right.
She used to tell him bedtime stories of the people with the purple eyes and the robes.
Right.
Remember?
And then now she has 2 children too. So, sketch. And of course, Xaden sees her and he's like, what the heck? I don't want to see you. Mama, you left me. So he's obviously has got like major mommy issues, trauma from this, because she left him literally on the night of his 10th birthday. And he was like, yeah, she like fed me cake for my birthday, and then she left me. And I'm like, that's so sad. And I kind of, this whole time, I thought that she left when he was a little bit younger. So it was like, oh, I kind of grew up without a mom. But like 10 years old is so old. So that's like really sad.
Yeah, poor Xaden.
Oh my God, you're such a hater. I can't even believe you. So anyways, let's see. Where are we? Oh, this is kind of where you started getting mad at him.
Yes.
About
shall I?
Yeah, go ahead. You guys are. She's about to attack my Shayla, but okay.
Essentially, they get there. He's mad at the mom. Obviously, trauma. Very fair. I understand where he's coming from. However, he says this, and this is where he pissed me off. He says, because him and Violet were in the balcony, and she was like, I wish I could take it away from you, blah, 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 blah. The pain, because he's really upset. He goes, it's messy and painful and infuriating. And if I could choose to give this portion of myself away to help me, Malik, I would. I get it now. It's not just the power that's addicting. It's the freedom of not feeling this.
But isn't he referencing like...
He's talking about not feeling upset. Like not feeling like he is being abandoned.
It's not that just the power that it's addicting. It's the freedom to not feel this. That's sad.
Because they don't get to feel anything.
Well,
right? Like when they're venom and actually evil.
Oh, yeah, huh? It's like he wishes that he could, like, yearns to, like, turn his emotions off, basically.
Exactly.
But that means
and, like,
that he's
why
not
does it have to be by turning literally so evil?
Well, no, but that's, I mean, he's just saying that he wishes he could, you know, like he doesn't want to, but it's like, dang, like if I'm going to be so miserable and feel like this, I wish I could just turn it off. You never felt so sad and mad where you wish you could literally just not feel at all? I felt that.
I mean, yes, you know that.
Yeah. So it's like after, especially after like, obviously this is not a breakup, but it's like mom drama, but like when you're so upset that you're like, I would actually rather. That's why after breakups, I would also always say, oh, I just want to sleep. Because when I'm asleep, I feel nothing. So it's like, that's the same. It's like, why? I might as well just be a venom at this point because then at least I won't feel anything. Like I'm miserable.
Yeah, but like that's so selfish. Like, oh, I hate that.
So he's not saying he's gonna do it. He's just like, wow, see, like
saying that I really, really wish I could.
Yeah, he wishes he could because he's sad. Leave my Shayla alone. Okay, so then they go to dinner with the triumvirate, which the triumvirate is supposed to be 3 people, right? I looked up what triumvirate.
How do you even know how to pronounce that?
I don't know. I just triumvirate. That's what it seems like, right?
Yeah, I guess phonetically.
Yeah, I looked it up and I think triumvirate means like 3 rulers. Like instead of 1 king, it's like 3 of them. So anyways,
because in the beginning when the king gets there, he's like, oh, my 2 people aren't here, but I wanted to come out and greet you myself.
Right. So they all go to dinner, the Quest squad with the people, and Xaden's mom's there. And how did they even get on the topic of setting up a marriage between him and Kat? They're like trying to forge an alliance.
So they were saying like, oh, you were promised to this person, right? And they're like, oh yeah, didn't pan out though. And then they were like, well, if you were smart, you would have done this. And if you were a logical thinker and wisdom is proven through. Right. And they were like trying to make it about them just making smart moves for each of their territories.
Because that's like the test, because it's the Isle of Wisdom. So they're trying to, or knowledge. So they're trying to test them on like, are you smart? And it's like, oh, well, if you were so smart, like you'd set up a marriage right now. Like, okay, you and Kat, like, let's set up the marriage. Let's do it. Yeah. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure.
Like, are you smarter than a 5th grader? And they friggin' failed.
No, but Xaden was like, okay, fine. Like, if you want me to marry her, like, yeah, set it up. Go ahead. And Violet is like, what are you doing? Like, why are you saying you're going to marry Kat? And Kat is like, what is going on?
No, that was actually one of my favorite Xaden mementos was when they're going back and forth, like 3 years, actually 4 years, 2 years would be enough. And he goes, a lifetime. Anything less is unacceptable. And everybody's like, what? And he's like touching Violet's like the back of her neck, I think it is. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I love you. Okay, whatever. And
because people are like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh yeah, and her name for the papers is Violet Sorengale with 2 R's. And she's like, oh my God, I love him. She just like starts taking her pants off. She's like, I love you.
My Shayla.
That is my Shayla. See,
he was my Shayla in that moment and that moment only.
No, he's so obsessed with her. As am I, sister. So then they kind of start eating dinner. Stuff is getting weird. His mom is trying to impress him, whatever. And then they bring out the dessert. And then
I think he's about to cry, you guys.
This is when Violet notices some stuff is going wrong. Because she was like, everybody it seemed like they were expecting us. She starts to figure out that they knew that they were coming. Because the main guy was like, oh, yeah, chocolate is like a delicacy around here and it takes us 3 weeks to get it shipped in. And his mom is like, oh, yeah, because chocolate cake is your favorite. Like, I fed that to you on your birthday. I thought maybe you'd still like it. And so we tried to make this perfect for you. Like, we went through a bunch of recipes, blah, blah, blah. And Violet is like, 3 weeks. Like, that doesn't make any sense. How would she know to get it? And so then she goes, oh, crap. This is a setup and a trap. So as everybody, and poor Xaden. Oh,
it's a trap.
Xaden is literally about to, because he has so many trust issues with his mom. the chocolate cake, she's like, I think, is that still your favorite? Like, she's trying so hard to impress him. And he's like, yeah, it is still my favorite. And he was going to eat it, which shows that he was like trying to open his heart to her again. And then Violet is like, grabs his leg.
The chocolate lava
Yeah,
cake.
she's like, do not eat that cake. And so everybody, she like slaps the fork out of somebody's hand or whatever. And she's like, don't eat the cake, it's poison. And then we pan over and Garrick is like this. He's already had like a third of it. And Garrick's like,
he's
what's wrong, guys? And then he like passes out.
He's like, wait.
Yeah, he's like, not the cake. It reminds me of Matilda when Bruce had to eat the cake. Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably exactly the cake. And I will say, yes, in fairness, it is pretty sad that he was about to eat the chocolate lava cake that his mom made him, and then it actually turned out to be poison. But I will say, I think from the looks of it, the mom didn't know that it was poison.
Yeah, it seemed like she felt betrayed about that. But then...
and this is where the knowledge that the dad left in the books comes in handy, because at that time she's like, why is he writing about all these random plants and all these random things? And it ends up being that she's like searching through her memory, which I think Rebecca does a really good job at like making it seem like, in my mind, she's like looking through a bunch of folders of like, okay, what can I use now? And because she knows, she's like so smart and read so much when she was preparing to be a scribe. And I feel like that visual of whenever she's trying to remember something,
she's so smart,
always really cool. Yeah, like she's actually the smartest person in the room apparently, but they don't really accept that.
Well, and then she's basically, so then they're immediately trying to find the cure. Like, what are we going to give him? They figure it out, blah, blah, blah. But she had gifted them tea, and all of them were drinking tea. Because her and her quest squad were also drinking the tea, but she had given them all the antidote prior to that. So right when Garrick was starting to get...
Is that what happened?
I think so. They were all drinking it too. And he's like, well, it can't be in the tea. You guys are drinking it too. And she's like, oh, sorry. Like, we already took this. And it's like their little antidote vial or whatever. So I think they... What happened exactly? She was like, oh, I'm not going to save you unless...
She's like, in 20 minutes, you're all about to die.
And he was ready to die.
Tell me how to cure Garrick right now.
Well, he was because he didn't want to be outsmarted. He was like, that's literally so embarrassing. Like, I'm not going to be outsmarted. So like, whatever, I'll just die. It's fine. But then,
which is crazy.
Andarna or Taryn or somebody was guarding his kids. And he was like, she's like, we're going to take your kids.
Like, we're killing your kids.
Yeah.
Which she never would.
No.
But yeah, and that's also another reason why she realized that they were trying to kill them, was because she was saying, did they send them away to protect us from them or them from us, the kids? And they're like, oh, they're protecting them from themselves because they're about to kill us.
And then, so they end up, getting the cure. Garrick is okay. They end up just leaving at that point, I think, right? They had to like kind of escape because they were like, okay, well, she's like, I'll give you this.
You're forever exiled from this place.
Yeah.
You're never coming back.
And did they cure them or no? She gave them the cure, right?
She gave it to them, yeah.
Okay.
They like drank it. I remember she put 3 little cups water and then the little fig juice, whatever it was that she had. Not the fig juice, was for Garrick. I also thought it was, I don't know, I'm just funny. Like the visual of Xaden giving Garrick CPR.
I was like,
like, okay.
Oh, you like thought it was hot?
Yeah.
Oh, not me. I was like,
what?
I was like, oh, I need CPR. Xaden, help.
No, literally me too. I'm like, please, I will save you, Garrick. Me.
I'm not like I'm a Garrick
girl.
Oh, see, like I don't really like know or care about Garrick, honestly. I hate to say. I'm a Riddick girl.
I'm a Riddick girl too, but Garrick as well. Garrick is a loyal.
I mean, I'll take whoever wants me. Like Bodhi, Garrick, Sawyer, like any of them. I'll take any of them.
I thought the Sawyer storyline was interesting. I completely forgot that he lost a leg.
I feel like he's got something coming into play. I think he's going to be a big help next book.
Yeah, with his steel.
Yeah.
Prosthetic. Anyway, continue.
Unless, what if he's the Venom brother? Anyway, we'll get to that. No. You never know. Okay, so then...
We're debunking that. It's not that. He's not the Venom brother.
Okay, so question for everyone, including the people who are listening, comment, please. Do we think Xaden's mom is coming back into play in future books? Because I feel like I could see that being like the one and done final scene, but I kind of feel like she's going to come back and sacrifice herself for Xaden because she never got to in the first place.
He's going to sacrifice himself.
He's going to sacrifice himself. No, you can't. There must be another way. But it's like, that's like her redemption because like she screwed him over as a kid and then screwed him over again with the cake.
I think that she's going to come back, not for her redemption arc, but for merely the fact that she keeps cutting herself off every time she talks about his dad. Like, I think there's going to be a plot twist with his dad, or maybe he did die, like, who freaking knows? But I think it's going to be something because she keeps saying, like, if only Fen would have, it doesn't matter. If only it doesn't matter.
Okay,
she said that. She did that like twice.
Interesting.
So I caught on to kind of that, but maybe she's just like, oh, it's in the past.
Okay. Huh. I mean, I could see it
I do think she's
way.
going to come back, though. I didn't really like her.
Yeah, I didn't like her. And then you said, was this another one of the things where they said weird about the water? Or you said weird?
Oh, yeah. Okay, did anybody else catch on to this? At the very end, or during the dinner conversation, they're like, you don't have a ton of ports. And I think that was kind of going to clue into the fact that it took her, they've known that they were coming for 3-ish weeks because she got the water or whatever. The king, or whatever, Ferris, says, it is unwise to venture over water when we know next to nothing about what lurks within its depths. Something else.
That's weird.
And she notes that. She goes, they're aquaphobic, like in all caps. And I don't know if that means anything. I just noticed that. I just noted that Violet noted that.
Sea dragons. Maybe there's sea dragons. Maybe that's the 8th version.
Maybe it's the Loch Ness.
Yeah. I feel like that's something to note.
Maybe it's an 8th. Maybe it's a 9th breed. Maybe there's 10.
Yeah. Okay, so then after that island, Hedotus, now they're going to Zelena. And this is the Isle of Zenal, which is the god of luck. So this, Violet notes that she feels like a little bit of a trickle of magic when they get there. I don't really know what the deal is, but she's like, I feel the trickle between Taryn and Andarna.
She's like, oh, there's magic here.
Yeah, but it was like, but she was like, oh, but it's not enough to channel. But like, I noticed something, which is an interesting thing. But this is the island where they have to pull the cards. So basically, they set everybody up.
But this is when they arrive.
Yeah.
And everyone's like waiting for them.
Everybody's waiting for them. It's like this big arena with all the people. Super weird. It's like it's kind of reminded me of like the Coliseum. Like everybody's sitting around ready.
That's literally what I pictured too.
They're like ready to watch this whole game. So it's like a card game. They literally have to just go up, pick up their card, whatever it says. They have to say, take their fate. Yeah. And then say thank you. So I'm going to quickly run through what everybody got. So Mira got wine. Marin got 2 orange tunics. Dane got slapped in the face, which everybody seemed to enjoy. Xaden was like, yay. Garrick got a rusted steel bucket. Arik got a fractured hand mirror that cuts his hand when he takes it. Xaden got an empty glass box. Violet got, this is what they described it as, a black compass on a dark chain that doesn't point north. And it's not that she said it was broken. She just said, oh, it doesn't point north. And the guy who gave it to her
in the north.
And yeah, they what?
They were in the north when.
What do you mean they were in the north?
Weren't they in like a northern island?
No. But normally the compass always points north.
Oh, like a normal human compass.
Yeah, like a compass. Like that's how they work. Yeah. But she didn't. It was interesting that she said it. She didn't say it was broken. She said it doesn't point north. Because normally the compass, that's how you know where you're going. It always points north when you turn it. So my guess is, what if it was pointing towards something that she needed? She was like, oh, it didn't point remotely anywhere near north. And I'm like, well, where was it pointing then, Violet? Sketchy. Yeah. But the guy who gave it to her kind of smirked at her and said, use it wisely. And she thought that he was making fun of her because it was like, it didn't work. Stop it. It didn't. She thought that he was like making fun of her because it didn't work. But I'm thinking that it was probably pointing to something else. So Riddick got kissed, which is funny. Kat. Now here's where the ruby theory comes into play. Kat got a gold necklace with a dangling ruby. And I would like to point out that a ruby has been mentioned multiple times already in the book, which is kind of something to note. In the beginning, when Theophany is in Basgiath, she has a ruby hilted sword. And then they're talking to the Duchess of Moraine at the Cenarium. and she has a ruby necklace and a ruby earrings. So it's like that's like kind of oddly specific, and there's like a whole theory that we could always go into later about like the Duchess of Moraine is related to Lyra Moraine, who is one of the first 6 riders, and so it's kind of like what was up with that.
Oh yeah, did you send me that? I forget. Yeah,
I don't know. The ruby thing was weird. Drake gets Broccoli the kitten, everybody's new favorite character, and then sadly at the end, Traeger pulls a card with an arrow and just boom, immediately gets shot with an arrow. That was like really sad.
That was crazy.
Because it was sudden.
That like escalated, like, I'm sorry, from a steel bucket. And also, like, I wonder if the steel bucket will play into Sawyer.
Ooh, yeah, because there was also a part in there where Violet's like, yeah, whatever, I'm getting rid of the stupid compass. And somebody, I think it was Xaden, was like, oh, it's bad luck to get rid of something gifted to you from Zanal or whatever. But
yeah,
Traeger gets hit with the arrow. Sad day. Kat, obviously everybody is devastated because him and Kat were like forming their little romance on the beach, holding hands.
I just want her to find love. Like, why do I love Kat now?
I mean, I hate her, but it's okay. But and then of course Violet has to say thank you. But because of this, the people of Zanal or the Zelena were like, okay, well, you passed our test, like you did it, whatever. And so they ended up telling them like, okay, we'll give you 40,000 troops. Like you can have some people now, but whenever you need us, you let us know, and we've got 40,000 troops for you. So pretty helpful. But they didn't find the Irids there.
Yeah, they did not, because they were so amazed. They're like, oh, these people had not seen dragons. Like they've been waiting and have never.
Yeah. So at this point, they still have been failing, and they wanted to go bury or go. They burned Traeger and his Griffin. So they went to just some random island to do that, and they just went to this place and just whatever. They're like they're off the map now, basically. So this isn't one of the major isles, because they wanted next to go to Loisum, which is the Isle of Loyal, which is love. That was like the final island they wanted to go to, thinking that the Irids might be there, but they just like went to this random one. So then what happens exactly? Everybody goes off.
So they get there, everyone's mourning, they do their ritual, and then they send the body off to Malik, or what is it? Commit the body to Malik, both Traeger and his Griffin. And then they decide, okay, around here, there's actually like 20 islands,
like little
for
random
us to
ones.
Explore, but we can't go one by one, all of us. So let's just split up. So I think what happens is Violet, Riddick, and their dragons stay behind in order to wait for the ashes to settle for the dragons and the dead bodies. And essentially, while they're waiting, they feel, whatever, the dragons arrive.
It's crazy.
Andarna.
Yeah. So Andarna's like, my family's here. So then they show up.
Mi familia.
I know, little Andarna.
Oh, I don't want to talk about this.
This whole thing was sad. So basically the Irids show up. They kind of go through this. It was a really weird exchange, because they were kind of like, whoa, like, what's up with you? Like, first of all, why did you bond to somebody? How do you have a bonded thing? Because she told the whole story about
how do you have a scorpion tail? They like gave her so much crap for having a scorpion tail. Like, we're feather tails. Like, we are. She's like, well, I got to choose it. Like, of course I chose a badass one.
Because they're like dragons, well,
you're
of
supposed
peace.
To be soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially they give us the backstory of they left intentionally, first of all, sad. They left the egg there many moons ago.
As like a test.
So that as a test to humans to see that they can live in peace, that they, I guess, would respect dragons and like basically become better people, which, sorry to break it to you, we never will be.
That was their first mistake.
And so she's like, you failed a test, like you were supposed to bring peace and you didn't. And Andarna's like, what the heck? I did not know I was getting tested. I love Violet. I love my people. Like, I chose this. I chose her. She protected me. She saved me when they were trying to kill me.
Violet,
and Andarna. She's like so excited, like telling them.
She's like wagging her tail.
She's like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and they're looking at her like, okay. So then she ends up being like, I chose my tail. I chose all of this. And they said, well, we reject you. And I should have gotten some quotes from this, because it was like actually heartbreaking. And I was so sad. And I think the biggest thing was when obviously Violet feels everything Andarna feels. So when she's like, and I got a sudden surge of shame and like, just like, and I was
My Shayla.
oh my God, my little baby Shayla.
No, because at first she was like, because then most of them leave, because there's one Irid that looks like Andarna, has like the curly horns like her. He stayed, but the rest of them like took off, and I think him and one other girl like stayed. And when they all left at first, Andarna was like really upset and sad, but then she felt shame because I think she felt like she was like less than, and that made me feel so sad.
And her wing, like that, they like, and they're like, you used her signet while she was sleeping, like you did this to her, blaming Violet, and she's like, no, I wanted to help her. It was all very heartbreaking. If you guys didn't cry during that, I didn't. We're all heartless.
Yeah, I know, that was really sad. And then the I forget his name, but the guy who looks like her, the dragon who looks like her, who's part of
the man,
who's part of her, part of her like line. He was like, okay, well, I'm willing to stay and hear you out, because it sounds like Violet didn't know that you were an adolescent when she bonded you, because Violet didn't know. She just thought it was like a different type of dragon or whatever. Yeah. But then at this point, Sigale, Xaden, everybody's coming back to the island. And somehow, as they're talking, he sees Xaden's red eyes, and he's like, oh my God, like, how have you guys aligned yourself with this? And she's like, they're like, what are you talking about or whatever? And he's like, oh, like, we're out, basically. Now that I see that you're aligned with this, like, you're way too far gone. And there was one quote in here that he was talking about the venin that I thought was interesting, because we keep hearing a lot about the soul. Like, I feel like the soul of the venin and like Xaden's soul is like a big thing that comes into play. And they said, the soul is not kept by the earth as dark wielders steal its magic. The power exchange kills the soul one piece at a time, and death has no cure. So it's not like the earth, like when they channel, the earth doesn't take the soul. It's like the soul gets killed off one piece at a time, which is kind of what Xaden was saying. He's like, it's slowly like taking pieces of me. Anyway, so just bookmark that in your mind. But we were trying to figure out, and maybe you guys can help us with this, why were Xaden's eyes red at that point?
Yeah, I didn't even remember until you told me. And I thought it was because he was getting really defensive whenever people would try to hurt her. So he would always, I don't know, turn venin. But I didn't even realize that had happened.
I just couldn't figure it out, because it's like, normally his eyes wouldn't go red randomly. It would only be when he was like channeling and stuff, I thought. So I'm kind of like, I don't know why the eyes were red. Weird. But basically they end up leaving. Now everybody's defeated. They never went to Loisum, and so I'm kind of thinking that's going to be really big into play the next book, because I have an entire theory at the end that we'll get to that I like feel really smart about. But this is the last island that they never made it to, and it's the Isle of Love. Like, come on, something's happening there.
I didn't know it was the Isle of Love until you told me. So I'm like, I haven't even heard Nikki's theory. So we're going to all go through it together.
Yeah. So after this, they go back home. Everybody's pissed.
They go back home.
Whatever. Everybody's upset.
Correct. So during this as well, Riddick finds out
I forgot.
Yeah, he finds out that Xaden is venin, and he goes, Violet, cut this shit out, girl. Like, you need to tell everybody in our crew, because everybody needs to know, one, that we're actually looking for a cure and not just the seventh dragon. And two, so that there's people protecting you. Like, everyone's only watching out for him. Garrick, Imogen, everyone's on his team. Like, who's looking out for you? So he makes them promise, and Xaden's like, okay, fine. When we get home, we'll tell them. So then they get home.
That was also, one of my favorite parts of the book is when...
About them pooping.
Yeah. Because they're in the woods or whatever talking about it, and Riddick is obviously all mad and whatever, and some lightning strike happens, right? And it wasn't even related to that. Like, what was it with the lightning?
Yeah, so that's also another thing. Who's lightning?
Yeah, like, why is there lightning? But they go back, and he's talking to Xaden, and he's like, okay, bro, like, I got your back, like, because I got Violet's back, whatever. And he's like, yeah, by the way, that lightning, like, wasn't us. Just so you know, like, it was us, but like, it wasn't us doing it, you know what I mean? Because obviously when she gets it on with Xaden, she strikes lightning, and Xaden's like, yeah, I know that because it wasn't a big enough strike. And I was like, ah!
It was a little baby strike.
Yeah, and I was like, so.
And he I think he was like holding Violet, like kind of like, you know, like when you're like shaking your friend, and he's like, if I drop this right now, it's going to look like we were doing something that we weren't doing. Did you catch
or
that?
no,
He's
because
like, but we
didn't he
weren't
have his
doing
like arm
anything.
around her or something? And he's like, it's not what it looks
I
like.
thought he was like holding her like here.
Oh, maybe.
Like, listen to me.
That was so
I don't know.
funny. Anyway, I loved that. But yeah, okay. So now they're back, and then she ends up having to tell everybody, right?
Yeah.
So this is
Correcto.
now when we start getting more insight into the dreams situation. So Violet has the dream about Marin's family. They're talking about the dreams. They're starting to figure out, ooh, maybe she's a dream walker. Like, what's going on with this? This is when they start like kind of diving into that.
Yeah. So when they get back, did we already talk about her entering the dream at all?
I don't think so.
So essentially, Violet keeps having these nightmares. Like throughout the book, she keeps waking up and either Rhiannon is there like shaking her awake, or she's kind of like, it's a dream, I have to wake up. And her and Xaden are actually sleeping in the same room together. She ends up having a nightmare, but in her nightmare, it's about Marin's family, fire, people are dying. And so essentially, she talks to Xaden about this. Like, I saw this. The only way that we can confirm if this was like, I guess like a premonition or something is if we talk to Marin and he's like, okay, we got to tread lightly here. But essentially they do discover that she can waltz into people's dreams. And my theory there is that when she talks to Marin, she goes, that was my worst nightmare. And I think the use of the word nightmare might be, maybe she's like only walks into people's like nightmares, because she's always in Xaden's nightmares, and she's like, oh, that was literally my worst nightmare, and then the Rebecca wrote in cursive, worst nightmare again. So I feel like sometimes when she does that, I'm like, oh, I don't know, that was one of my theories.
Okay.
But I guess the question here is like, do we think that what are our thoughts on her actual second signet being that? Like, do we think it's as that lame as just her walking into dreams, or can it be something more? I think it's gonna be something more.
It has to be more, because like obviously dream walking is like great.
It's cool.
You know, and like that's helpful, I guess, but that's only because your dreams are only your subconscious mind. It's not always going to tell you exactly what you need to know. It's not like mind reading where it's like you know exactly what's going on. It's not like Dane's power, you know, because he can actually read memories.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and okay, so when they're the Irids are talking to Andarna, they know that like they were like, oh yeah, well Taryn gave her lightning, and they said, and you, our very hope, have handed this human something far more dangerous to wield, haven't you? And it's like far more dangerous than lightning is dream walking. Like no,
yeah,
you know. So it's got to be something a little bit more, like sketch. There's got to be more.
I think so, and I think that throughout the book, she keeps saying, I didn't think I said that out loud. I didn't say that out loud, did I? Did I say that out loud? And I think that maybe she's putting her thoughts into people's minds unconsciously, like without realizing it, is what I meant by that. So
that's what I think
feel like
too.
That I feel like she can maybe manipulate people from the inside.
Yeah, I feel like
it's an inside job.
She's like a mind. I think she can put herself into other people's minds almost. What if she has like mind control almost? Because okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's an inside job. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because I think she can definitely project her thoughts into somebody's mind. But do you think that she'd be able to ever like fully control their mind? Because
I feel like she could.
That's why she could probably
like
talk with Taryn and Andarna on the islands with no magic, because she can put her mind in their mind, maybe.
I know. And I think that, I forget if this is true or not, but isn't her and Xaden's bond only through Sigel?
Yeah. Yeah. Sigel?
Gail. I call her Gail.
Gail. Sigel.
I've avoided saying her name.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So maybe, but she's in his dreams.
Well, I feel
like it's gonna be like one of those like inside jobs. I keep saying that because it's like, yeah, she becomes them, like she controls them.
Totally. I totally agree with that. So then when they're talking to Marin, whatever, now Arisha's under attack. So everybody's scrambling. They're like, okay, here we go. Like, it's time to fight these wyvern. They're like a bunch of people who got really close to Arisha more than in previous attacks. And Arik this entire time, Arik has been popping up with random info. Like, he surprisingly was fluent in certain languages and like he knows more information than lets on. Like, he's a smart person to be watching. The reader knows this. We all know this as we're reading the book. Like, Arik is somebody you need to be listening to. So as she's running,
is my guy.
Yes, he's amazing. And he's literally like another one of the princes. Like, he knows things, you know what I mean? So as she's running out the door to like get on and go fight the wyvern, he stops her and he's like, hey, Violet, you need to protect Dune's temple. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm going to fly and I'm going to fight. And he's like, no, listen. And he's like, wink, wink. This is how you'll save everyone. Like, you need to protect Dune's temple. And she's like, okay, whatever. Like, bye.
Sure. And sure, little kid.
Yeah, she like didn't care. She's like, yeah, do whatever. Okay, bye. So then we find out later, Andarna heard this and was like, okay, well, if you're going to ignore him, I'm not. So Andarna was like, okay, I'm going to go protect Dune's temple and I'm going to wait there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that it did take me a while to put those two things together, but I did think that Andarna knew something before she did, but I guess she just had overheard.
Yeah, I think she just like mind heard her. Okay, so now everybody's out. They're doing their battle. Taryn got the wyvern bone stuck in his leg. And Rhiannon had to pull it out. That was crazy.
I thought it was crazy. And she was like, oh, I've been practicing. Because it's like a big old thing.
Huge. And Violet was like, I can't get this out. I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So then they go over to Dune's temple because Andarna's here. And she's like, Andarna, why can't you ever follow my instructions? And she's like, dude, literally Arik tried to tell you this. Like, I'm going to freaking Dune's temple. Listen to me. So then, of course, Theophany pops up. Again. So Theophany's here and she's standing around Dune's temple and all of these priestesses are like, whoa, girl, you used to be one of us because you got your face tatted. You are a heretic. Get the hell out of here.
Heretic.
You're heretic, whatever that is. That's like isn't that like, you
I
like
think it's
shun
like when you
God?
when you shun your religion. I only know because I
You
think
like
there
sell
was
your
that
soul to
one
the
movie,
devil.
Heretic with, I'm going to call him Dennis Quaid, but it's not Dennis Quaid.
I don't know. I don't watch scary movies. That's too much for me. But anyway, so the priestesses are freaking out. Somebody said becoming a high priest or priestess is the closest most of us will get to touching the power of the gods. So I feel like the priestesses are even sketchy a little bit. And like Theophany obviously wants power.
Yeah.
So, you know,
and then I think she says something like, why would I want to like be amongst God when I could be one? Actually become a god.
Be one. So I think that she dips when Leothin, the Irid, shows up, right? Because she like kind of sees them coming, the Irids or him or whatever. And she's like, I'm out of here. So Theophany disappears.
Yeah, we also did miss a key point of Theophany in their conversation where she realizes that this whole time she thought that she was a lightning wielder, Theophany was, but she's actually a storm controller like her mom.
Oh, I thought she found that out later. Was that now?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, at some point she finds it out. I don't know if it matters, but yeah. Well, so how is Theophany disappearing? Because she keeps like apparating, you know what I mean?
I don't
like
know. I thought that she had, like, this is my own theory. I thought that she had stolen Garrick's second signet. You know how he's like a spacewalker?
Yeah, it seems like she keeps doing that. I don't understand how.
They have super speed.
Oh, just because she's like a maven, she gets really fast speed.
Maybe, but I don't know. They kind of made it seem like she like physically disappeared, but maybe she's just living really fast.
Interesting. Okay, so she bounces out. Now the Irid is there, Andarna's kin, and he raises up the wards. So I think that's also why she left. She was like, oh, here he comes. Like the wards are going up. So
and because the Wyvern started falling down, and people were moving to avoid them.
Oh, and one of them fell down and like crashed into the temple. Be so bad
because I keep moving.
You're
I'm
getting
like,
too excited.
I'm like reenacting this whole book for you guys.
Well, one of the wyvern like falls down and crashes into the temple and like breaks it.
Yeah.
And like shards come flying out. And this is where Andarna leaves, which was really heartbreaking. Basically, he's like, okay, you know, we'll take you and teach you more about our kind, but like she can't come. So you have to come by yourself. And something really interesting here is that he basically cuts off the connection between her and Violet. And he says, should you choose to return, you can always reforge the bond. Because she's like, I'm bonded to Violet. Like, I'm not going to leave.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you can break, like, Irids are the ones who can break and form bonds.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have even been able to
make it whatever you
form
want
this
it to
bond.
be.
Totally. And like, he was like, well, when she went through threshing, like, normally you can only bond to one dragon, but you were able to bond to two because she's an Irid. And so basically he breaks the bond. Violet and Arna can't even say goodbye.
That was heartbreaking.
Because she can't, they lost their mind
She like
connection.
looks at her like
looks
she's
at
trying
her.
to say something and she can't.
She can't. And so then she leaves. And then it turns into Twilight. There's a possibility.
She's just sitting in the window.
She's so depressed.
She goes and rides
that was really
motorcycles
sad.
so she could feel something. Wait, Nikki, we forgot to say that Mira, D-I-E-S.
That's later.
Oh, shoes. Is it?
D-I-E-S.
Oh,
yeah, because,
shoes.
yeah, remember? Yeah, you're jumping the gun. You're jumping the gun. We're going to get there. No, yeah, I was really sad when she left.
I was sad.
That? Poor Andarna. I feel like she just is like
I
the
felt
kid who
like
gets the short end of the stick.
I felt like it was sad. I understood where she was coming from. She's like, I gotta go my own way. I gotta go my own way.
But also I was like, how could you leave? But at that point he had already broken their connection, so like what was she gonna do?
Exactly. And I feel like that's what so much was left unsaid because she literally had no bond anymore. And I think she does say, like, she looked at me like she wanted to say something, but you don't know. I also thought it was interesting because how can all of the Irids do the whistle and then they can be in everyone's minds? Like, do you think that's what Andarna has with her and not an actual bond? It's just kind of like the whistle in her head? Because the guy goes, who talked to you first? And it was Taryn.
Yeah. Well, but then wouldn't she be hearing the whistle? But could Andarna whistle into people's heads? Like if she learns how?
Yeah. I think if she learned how.
You'd think.
I think so.
I feel like also part of the reason why she went is because her and Violet in the beginning would say, like, we're going to do whatever we can to figure all this out. And like Andarna's on her side with finding everything it takes. Yeah, whatever it takes. Because she wants to help find Xaden's cure, you know? So she's like on her side. So I think she probably is like, well, if I go see my family, like maybe they'll have info about this.
Yeah. I don't blame her, really. Just let her know that I don't blame her at all.
I know she's young. She did her best. Okay, so now they go and do another dream thing. This is where
I already like leaped into the end of the book. I'm like, oh my god.
I mean, this is like the dream walking thing, whatever. Like she basically, Violet goes into Xaden's dream again. And this is when she kind of is like, oh, wait a second. I'm in Xaden's dream right now. Let me get into my own body. And then she's like, I don't have a dagger. Oh, wait, if I was in my dream, I'd have a dagger. And so then she's able to wake herself up. So she's kind of starting to
have more control within the dreams.
Yes, totally. And that's when she finds out Mira is being held captive.
Yes.
By Theophany.
Being held captive. And let me say, I think I will send you the video, Nikki, because I called Nikki immediately after the scene and I said, oh my gosh.
She had like tears in her eyes. She FaceTimes me and she goes, Mira's dead. And I was literally like, yeah, there's nothing I can say here. Like I'll try and enter this in the video. I took a screenshot of you with your eyes covered and I'm like this. Because I was like behind your back. I was like, I can't tell her that she's not dead. But that was crazy.
Wow. No, that was crazy. Your betrayal.
Yeah. Sorry. What was I going to say? Oh, actually, JK, she's not. I was going to let you read on your own.
No, that's crazy. If I would have continued reading for literally 5 more minutes, I would have known.
Yeah. So basically, Theophany has Mira. She slits her throat and then bails. And she's like, okay, there you go. Now you have to figure it out. Ha ha ha. So then Brendan shows up and tries to heal Mira, but it's not enough because she had like a fatal cut wound in her neck. And Sloane and Dane show up because Sloane got the info from Arik that Sloane needed to deliver the knife, the like stone knife and the note to Violet on the field. And then of course Dane is like, good God, Sloane, like you're a first year, you're not supposed to be on the battlefield. But I'm also like
secretly in love with you, Sloane, so don't die.
Well, yeah, eyes on me, Dane Atos. But So he follows her. So now they're like, okay, we're going to siphon Dane's power into Brennan from Sloane. Weird. That whole thing was weird.
And then they say, someone like you shouldn't have this much power. Sloane tells Dane,
What
and
the
he goes,
F does
shut your
that
mouth, little
mean?
girl.
Like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? Like,
And also,
there's more-
someone
Dane-
like you.
Well, because she doesn't like him.
Oh.
So she's like, oh, you're evil. Like, someone like you shouldn't have this much power. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like Dane is holding out on a little bit more info.
I think there's something going on with Dane. I think that the scenes that Rebecca chose to bring Dane into, besides the bookstore one, were very much like Dane from above, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like,
I
what's
think we're
been
gonna-
happening to Dane behind the scenes while everybody's been in the quest squad and without him kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I
Dane.
feel like Dane did kind of redeem himself in this book. Like, I feel like Dane's a good guy.
I
He just
feel
has
like
been
that,
misguided.
too. Mark our
Yeah.
words, a year and a
I
half
know.
from now.
I know. Oh my
Dane
God.
is the maven.
This whole thing with the siphoning was crazy though, because I feel like this now ties back into the Nowlin theory, which I don't really remember that much about Nowlin.
So
What is it?
what I remember, what I took away from this scene was that one, Dane shouldn't have this much power. Okay, what does that mean? Two, there was something about Brennan's neck, wasn't there?
Well, okay, so from what I had seen, Dane had the gray handprint on his wrist from when Avenin tried to channel from him or whatever. So that was there. But then also Brennan has a mark on his palm, presumably from when Nowlin siphoned power to save Brennan, I believe is what happened, right? That's why Nowlin died, because he burnt out.
Because he burnt out, yeah.
Trying to save Brennan. So I think Brennan was like, oh, that's why I have this mark on my palm. But then when Sloane did the siphoning, Dane didn't have a mark from her and Brennan didn't have a mark from her. So Violet said, let's see, there's no mark on the back of his neck like he carries on his palm. There hadn't been one on Dane's wrist either. So it's like, in theory, if Sloane is doing the siphoning, either Dane or Brennan should have had a mark from her.
Wait,
but
no,
neither one did.
I think what she means by that, and this is just theory in the moment, guys, real time. I think what she means is that they used to have it via the siphoning. She sucked it out, like, and so maybe she could do the same to Xaden, who is an actual Venin, where these people just got like the mark. Don't shut me down.
No.
Don't shut me down.
Well, because when she says there wasn't one on Dane's wrist either, I don't think she meant that like she took away the gray handprint.
You don't think so?
No, because Brennan has a mark on his palm that's like a rune-shaped mark or something that I think Nowlin gave him. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I've seen a lot of theories about this, about Nowlin, and I don't know anything about it. Apparently him and Brennan might have been lovers. Like,
I think they were lovers.
Taryn-
I also saw an interview where Rebecca was doing a panel and someone's like, so with the Nowlin, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, no.
oh yeah, she didn't want to talk.
Shuts
But then
it
she was
down.
like, oh, well, if he presumably dies for somebody, like obviously there has to be some type of connection there. But then Taryn also never wants to talk about Nowlin. So it's like maybe, okay, wait, I wrote this in my notes. Okay, so Taryn never wants to talk about Nowlin. What if Nowlin is a Venin? Because at some point somebody said that that Violet was bonded to like two traitors. So maybe Taryn is a traitor because he never told Violet that Nowlin is a Venin.
And
that
also,
could be,
what
like,
if
withholding
Nowlin
info.
is the sage?
Ooh, yeah. Oh, the Braxton, what's his name?
Bereaved? Erwin?
Browen?
I call him Erwin.
Braxton?
Erwin.
Brown?
I think it's Berwin.
Bronwyn. Oh, Berwin. Yeah, but who's Bronwyn?
No one.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, now they're going back to fight again.
Correcto.
Or wait, no, they're in the fight. Now they're going back to continue fighting. This is where the POV starts switching. So first we're in Rhiannon's POV. Nothing really happened, I feel.
She's not for me. I know that she's like such a badass and she's probably like the best person to fight and everything, but I just did not care to be in her mind at all.
I feel like
I
she might die
probably
in the
missed-
next book.
Well, honestly, that's fine. I probably missed like maybe like an important like foreshadowing because I was like trying to just get through it. However, Imogen is my girl.
Really? That's surprising.
I love her.
I mean, I like Rhiannon more than Imogen, but I like Imogen. But I feel like Rhiannon is just like that constant, like, I feel like her story hasn't been very interesting. But I think that because Rebecca went on interview and said, the reason why she killed off Liam is because he was already like a perfect character and didn't need any more growth. Like there was no growth for him to do because he was like so great. And she said that.
But I loved him.
I know, but that's the thing. She was like, he doesn't have any more growing to do. Like he's great. And she said that in the next book, somebody that we love is going to die. I think it's going to be Rhiannon because like what character growth does she have? She's already like, I feel like she's like a stand-up person. She's very moral. She's done her best as the leader. Like,
yeah.
She's just like nice. Dead? No, her family's alive still. But maybe she'll like die trying to protect them or something. Maybe it might be Sawyer
because he had his whole redemption arc.
But see, I feel like he still has more growing to do with his leg and everything. Not like growing his leg back, but I mean like growing emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine. Anyways, yeah, Rhiannon, I mean, I don't feel like that connected to her, but I feel like that's Violet's BFF.
Yeah, I think that one thing that she did, which is how the chapter ended, was like get into shield formation. And there was a quote in one of the passages at the very top of the chapters that talked about the only way like you'll ever lose is if you like aren't shielding something correctly. I don't know. It was like something about shield, and I felt like maybe that tied into it because she kept talking about her formations. Are you in this formation? Are you in that formation? So
interesting.
Maybe something there.
So then we jump to Imogen's POV. I can't even tell you when Quinn died. First of all, who the heck is Quinn? Like Quinn is like such a random, unimportant character.
Who is she?
I don't know.
She's the one that can like make many of herself.
Yeah, but they mention her throughout the book, but like I had zero emotional connection to this girl. I was sobbing. Oh my God. When she said like what did she say? We made it a good one. Like,
no.
Commend my soul to Malik. I was so dead. That's pretty funny. Anyways, pretty funny. No, I can't believe you didn't cry. Like, you didn't even care about me at all as your friend. Like, I thought of you. Like, what if you were passing away in front of me and you said, we made it a good one?
You thought of me. I did think of you.
Yeah, mostly because in my
mind, she had like short hair like you.
Yeah, she had like curly hair.
Yeah. Can I say I was listening to another podcast today and they go, the best advice I ever got or the whatever on your dying bed from my grandma was she told me right before she passed away, like, I had so much fun.
Oh, I'm gonna literally start crying. Don't you even dare bring that up.
And I'm like, that's all you could really ask for. And I was thinking, I was like, I want to make sure that every day I have like a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Like, just so that it adds up to just like such a fun life when we meet Malik.
Yeah. I just loved that whole scene. And I think that really furthered. See, this is what I want for Rhiannon. I feel like we need something more like this, where like that really furthered Imogen's
one of her best
character.
Friends to die.
Well, no, but like we need something more raw from her because this really furthered Imogen's like character development because it showed because Imogen's like such a badass, like hard exterior. You know?
I feel like a lot of people do like Rhiannon. What I don't like about her is that she is kind of a needy friend. She'll be like, why didn't you tell me? Well, I wanted you to, like, remember in the, I think the second book or first book, she was like nagging her about not telling her about Zayden. I'm like, just let the girl live. Like, geez, her joints are already all messed up.
She's hurting, okay? I know. Well, her and Violet are like a bad combo in that way because Violet doesn't want to tell her anything because she wants to protect her. Yeah. But Rhiannon, I think, genuinely really just wants to help. And at this point, like, they are all better when they work together. And Violet does need to be telling them this stuff because it helps, you know?
I know, but just leave her alone. Jeez.
No, I feel that.
But yes, okay, I did think of you when Quinn died. Are you happy?
Yeah, and you didn't even cry, so good to know how much I mean to you. Anyway, so then Quinn was like, oh, you need to like let yourself like open your heart and like be a lover.
You should tell him.
Because she's like in love with Garrick, right?
That's why I love Imogen, because I also love Garrick.
See, I feel like I don't know Garrick. Like, I don't know Garrick well enough.
I just know that Garrick comes like, for her. He's like so loyal.
Yeah. Because
But
he's
then you
BFFs
should
with
talk
Zayden.
about what you mentioned to me about Bodhi puking.
Okay, so obviously jumping forward a little bit at the end, there's some new Venin brother. Well, no, I mean we'll go back and forth with this, but there's some new Venin brother, and everybody's trying to figure out who is the Venin brother of Zayden at the end. Because Zayden's like, this is the least that I would expect. Like, I can't believe this person would do this, whatever. He's seen me throughout the past 5 months. Like, why would you turn yourself? So during this chapter, Garrick comes for her and is like, okay, we got to get out of here. Quinn just died. Like, let's go. Because things are crumbling all around them. As they go outside, Bodhi is on the ground retching. He's like on all hands and knees on the ground retching. And then Garrick goes off and he's like, I can't jump anymore. Whatever. What do they call it when he like goes fast?
Walk.
Yeah, I can't do my like little walking thing anymore because I'm burnt out basically. So I need to go help in another way. So while this is all happening, the shadows are coming over the land, like from Zayden losing, like channeling and losing his mind. People think that maybe while Bodhi is down on the ground, he's channeling somehow, which I don't think that Bodhi is the Venin brother. I feel like people are really adamant that he is. I don't think he is.
I think he is.
I think it's Garrick because the thing
No, I
is
think
like
he is. I went back and I was taking notes for this video, and it's like a lot of him is him being like a big whiny baby, being like, why can't I come? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Why do I end up getting left behind? And he's like, okay, let's go. And they're like, actually, you're staying. And
but
so
that's
I feel
why
like
it's like
he's
more
being
plausible because Zayden is like, this is the last person I would ever expect to do this, and I feel like Bodhi, like it kind of makes sense that he would do that.
So you think it's just too obvious?
I think it's too obvious. And when Zayden, because, okay, when Zayden channels, the Venin brother was already next to him with the dragon, both like unconscious, I'm pretty sure. So how could, if Zayden's shadows are crossing the land and Bodhi is there retching as the shadows are on their way, that means he wasn't next to Zayden passed out.
But then
so, like,
if the shadows are on their way, then it's not Garrick because he's with Imogen.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I don't know. I think it might be somebody random. I feel like this is going to be somebody. It's not Dane
Brennan.
Because I know while the shadows are going, maybe Brennan, but no, because Brennan is there later. What if it's Arik or somebody? Or like he went to go with the eggs. What if it's Sawyer? Like, what if it's somebody random? But no, it has to be somebody who knows. What if it's Riddick?
No, not Riddick.
I think it's Garrick.
No.
I think it's Garrick. Because listen, okay, here's my theory. You ready? I got it. Garrick is it takes me a second. I'm finding it. Garrick is walking away from Imogen. Then Imogen goes back inside somewhere. She like walks inside somewhere. You can look it up. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. She goes outside. She sees the retching. She's like, ooh, the sky is dark. Wyverns are flying weird. So that's like as the shadows are imminently coming. So then she goes back inside. The shadows darken further. At this point, maybe Garrick had enough in him for one last jump to get to where Zayden was. Boom. And now he's channeled and he's a Venin. And then somehow the shadows pass over him and he's passed out.
Nikki, you're the one who convinced me that it was Bodhi like 2 days ago because you said that right when he channeled, the storm stopped.
Oh, yeah. But then, okay, but when I was reading this last chapter back, it didn't, like, hold on. I'm going to scroll down in our notes and skip. It says...
Okay. This video is going to be so long, you guys.
I know, I'm sorry, but I feel like everybody's in the vibes. Oh, no, I don't think I took a note on it. Basically, when the shadows were going, the Venin brother was already by him, I'm pretty sure. So I just feel like, how could it be Bodhi if, like, he can't be in two places at once, you know? It's confusing.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it might be like a maybe it's a girl. Oh, no.
We need your theories on this, guys. So please comment and let us know.
Yeah,
who
what are
you
your
think the
guys'
Venin brother
theories?
Is. Yeah.
And we do need reference points because I want to go back and read it if there is something that I missed.
Yes.
Okay.
So now we jump back into Violet.
Yes.
So I think this is where she realized, at least this is what my note says, that she realized where Theophany has weather wielding.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did jump the gun here, but essentially she kind of starts adding things up. Theophany was talking about how she's been around for many, many moons. And she I forget where she's like, oh, she's not wielding, she's causing the tornadoes and she's controlling the weather. She's my mom's signet. Like they made her to balance out my mom, basically. And I think that was important.
Ooh, something quickly that we didn't touch on. Again, this video is going to be so long. One of the first year cadets started manifesting shadows earlier in the book. And normally like these really powerful signets aren't supposed to be happening at the same time. And so Xaden is kind of like the gods or the powers know when balance is needed. And I think it's because like as he was slipping away into the Venom state, like they're going to need a new shadow wielder, which is pretty crazy.
But then you also had another theory of like there's 2 needed now because of something else. I forgot what you said.
Oh, I wonder if I saved that somewhere. There was a passage at the beginning. Like, what do they call those? A missive? No, I don't know. At the top of the chapter.
The journals, entry, whatever.
Yes, where basically they said the last time there was 2 of the same powerful signet, it was because something big was happening in history. So they needed to manifest 2. And then they were like, oh, but the last time all 6 were together. Oh, I have to switch my headphone. So sorry. The last time all 6 were together, they were like, this was really scary. Like, I don't want to live through that again, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what they said. They're like, oh, like, my battery's dying, but we can probably keep going for a little longer.
Your camera battery?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, well, we'll try keep going. So, yeah, anyway, okay, so now we're back in Violet's POV. Theophany has the weather wielding. This is so hard to describe. Xaden's darkness starts covering them because this is all happening simultaneously. So it's like a weird mind trip. When the darkness comes, Arik had given her the dagger, which was made from the stone of Dune's temple so that she could kill Theophany because it said there is no
coming because he could see the future.
Yes, because he's a foresight. What is it?
Foresight.
So yeah, he can see
foresight.
He can see the future, basically. Go Arik. They should have been listening to him this whole time. Duh. Rude.
Duh.
And so anything with Dune's temple is going to kill Theophany because they said there is no goddess more wrathful than Dune. Entering her temple will slice the soul from any attendant who has shunned her grace. So that's why stabbing her with the stone killed Theophany.
Killed her.
Surprise.
Yeah.
So from there, now we go and once the shadows came over her, I think she like passes out basically, right?
Yeah, so I think
protected her.
I'll wrap up Violet so you can talk about your Xaden moment at the end.
My big theory is coming.
But essentially, the shadows are coming. She realizes that Xaden has fully turned because obviously all the power that it took for him to actually darken everything. And at one point, Eric's missive says, use the darkness in your favor kind of thing. And that's when she kills her. So a lot of overwhelming feelings, a lot of loss, a lot of heartbreak, because guess what he did? He did it. He took the power from the earth like we knew he would. And he betrayed her like I knew he would.
He had to save them all.
No, he did not. He didn't have to.
What was he going to do? What was he going to do? They were all going to die. What was he going to do? He had to.
Let them. You know what? What is her name? The let them theory? You know what? Let them.
No, look, here's the thing. So when we jump into Xaden's POV, we find out the tea and why he did this. Because Sigale is wounded and his sage Berwyn is there. Panchek shows up. First of all, little mole, little rat.
Traitor.
Panchek is like sniveling little freaky little weirdo. Berwyn kills his dragon with a dagger. How did he do that? I don't know. He like crumbles. That was weird. And then... So then this is where they talk about the Venin brother. Here's the quote. It's a little long. My new brother and the unconscious dragon. How could he do this? Choose this after watching me stumble and fall over the last 5 months. How could he willingly walk the path I've fought like hell to leave? He's the last person I ever would have expected to turn. And yet here we are. So.
And my theory is that it's Bodhi.
I don't know. I could see it being Bodhi, but I think it's going to be somebody random. But then it's like, who has been watching him over the last 5 months? I know. I think it's Garrick, but we'll see.
It's either Garrick or Bodhi or Imogen.
Well, so basically after Berwyn kills Panchek's dragon, he's like, okay, look at this. I have this scary dagger that's going to kill your dragon. Sigale's like she's held down by these nets, and he's literally like, because now Xaden, since he's Venom, he can live without Sigale. So if he kills him, like, he's still gonna be alive, or if he kills Sigale, he'll still be alive. So, and in his mind,
selfish, but whatever.
No, in his mind, Sigale's like, I will, like, don't save me and don't channel for me because I don't want you to do this just for my life. Like, don't do it. But he's like, that's literally his life blood, like his dragon. You think that he's gonna, I think Violet would channel to save Taryn. You think she'd rather let Taryn get stabbed and died before she channeled from the earth? I don't think so.
I do not like Xaden. Let's make that clear. I do not like him in this book. I do not like him because I feel like he's a selfish little baby.
How is that selfish? He's trying to save Sigale.
I just feel betrayed, like I just do.
No, I mean, but listen to this. Okay, listen to this. So he goes, all right, I'm saving my girl, Sigale, and everybody else at the same time. So he reaches down, he channels from the earth. Here's what it says. Again, this.
But that's literally the only, Violet asked for one thing. Do not channel. Day 77, day 63, what the heck ever they were counting. And he's like, I did it.
He had no other choice,
and then
because
he goes
Sigale,
and does it.
He wasn't going to let her die. Like, what was he going to do? The sage was going to kill her.
No, he wasn't.
He would have. He's evil. Okay, so anyway, he goes down, he channels. He says, my soul departs like pieces of ash from a fire, flaking free and drifting away as power consumes the space it once inhabited. So they kind of keep describing the Venom soul as like having pieces that slowly get lost. So at this point, he's channeling so much, he's feeling that the soul just like completely flake away. And as he's washing over the whole land with this shadows, Violet says, I love you, because she knows that it's coming. And he says, a silken thread of warmth wedges itself in the opening of the ice before sealing it shut, and he holds on to that. So basically, Violet's love, he can like feel her there, and he's like, okay, I have to hold on to this. This is the only thing that I can hold on to. Stop it, Mariana. I'm literally going to fight you right now. Then at the end, he's still channeling, and he's like, I'm right on the edge. Like, if I keep doing this and if I keep channeling, I'm going to be gone forever. But he knows that his love for Violet is the only way that he can stop. And so he's able to tell himself, like, and also he knocks freaking Theophany down, even though that's his maven in a higher rank. He's like, I don't know how I did that. Like, I shouldn't even be able to do that. He pulls his hand from the earth because he knows, I still love Violet deep down. And so, boom, he's done. And he's still got this little, like, whatever. So, but riddle me this. Here comes the book. Okay. At the beginning, very beginning, when Xaden first shows up in the book, okay, she's down there with Theophany when they're in the Jack Barlow's cell area.
Yeah.
An endless sea of black I instantly recognize at home. A band of darkness wraps around my hips and yanks me backward, then brushes my cheek gently, steadying my galloping heartbeat and quieting my power. So while he's channeling from the earth at the very end of the book, his soul is being flaked away in pieces. Here's what happens. I lost it. Oh, shadow throws Theophany to the ground a second before it rushes over me, a whisper soft against my cheeks. So it's like, even as he's losing his whole soul, every time he channels his shadows, it like brushes Violet's cheek because he's like, I still love you. Like, here's my sweet little caress. Even as he's losing
I still love you, but like not enough to like not do this.
No, even as he's losing his soul and channeling, he's like giving her like a little whisper soft cheek because he still loves her, Mariana, through everything.
Not enough. Like, I'm sorry.
Anyways.
It's sweet. It's sweet in theory. It's literally a book. It's sweet in theory.
Yeah, but like, why did he do that?
I also think that.
Yeah.
Because he is a little traitor.
Well,
I just feel betrayed. I'm going to be honest. That's how I feel. And I don't think I can move on from that. I think that really, if he wanted to, he could have put his whole heart into finding a cure. I guess he was doing that with Brennan and he couldn't mend him, even though they could have mended Jack Barlow for a while. Remember that? Yeah.
But I think he was, and I think there's more that like, I think he's been trying, because all he really wants is just to be with Violet, like, and to protect everyone. And he was at the point where he was so backed into a corner when they started going for Sigale. He's like, I can't let her die on account of me. So like, I'm going to just channel, like, sorry. So
okay, we could agree to disagree.
So after this happens, now my crazy theory is coming up. Everybody get excited. So he basically is talking to Sigale through the bond. After he's channeled, he's fully turned. He's no longer an initiate, whatever. His eyes are all veiny red, whatever. Basically, he's like, okay, I need to marry Violet. This is like insinuated. I need to marry Violet. Somebody, aka the Dune priestesses, owe me a favor. So they'll form the marriage bond. Do we know what the favor was for? Because he's like, oh, somebody owes me a favor. To marry them. But like, what was like, why do they owe him a favor?
I don't know, but I thought that they owed Violet a favor. So then Violet had to ask. Because in the thing, it's like, we owe you, girl.
Maybe.
Come to us if you need something. And then I think that they made, I don't know how, they tricked Violet into going into the Dune girls and being like, can you marry us, please? I love him so much, even though he betrayed me. Everything he ever promised is a lie. And then they were like, sure, of course.
But he said
they
specifically.
Them. But I also think this supports the theory that that Bodhi is it because he married her so she can own Tyrador or whatever. Because if he was gone, Bodhi would have been second.
Well, funny you mentioned that, Mariana. So in the next chapter, at the very end, this is when we get back into Violet's head. And they're at Regerson House, and Violet wakes up she like shows up randomly 12 hours later. Brennan is like, okay, 4 riders, they're dragons, 3 elders were killed in the valley. 4 riders, including Garrick, and 6 eggs are missing. So where the heck is Garrick? That's weird, questionable. And they think Xaden's responsible. Violet doesn't know what's going on. She looks down. There's a freaking engagement ring on her finger. A big emerald from Xaden's missing family. Surprise! I'm engaged. Violet's like, dang, this is nice. But
she's like, wait, I've seen this before.
Yeah, and she was like, I've seen this before, and it was literally from the hilt of his sword or whatever. So one of my theories, basically we're trying to figure out like what happened in those 12 hours between when she had her memories wiped. Because Imogen, she's like, what happened here, Imogen? Like, we got married.
You told me to do
and Imogen said, I did what you asked me to. I posted this on TikTok and people didn't seem to agree with me because a lot of people are like, look, if Violet wanted her memories wiped, it's because she knew when she would come back, Xaden, like, she's going to be the first that they interrogate. Obviously, if they're like, okay, we need to go into somebody's mind, Violet knows where Xaden is, duh. If she doesn't have any of those memories,
Dane would go into her mind.
Well, somehow they're going to torture it out of her. They've tried that before, but she won't be a liability if she doesn't have the memories. I think it's kind of what you think, where Xaden betrayed her so badly that she agreed to get married because of saving, the good of humanity or whatever. But I think that he either said something to her, tried to attack her, tried to attack Taryn, something so painful that she was like, I don't want to remember this. Like, this can't be my last memory of you. Like, it like broke her heart so bad that she was like, Imogen, please wipe my mind. I don't want to know this. Because it was like,
yeah, I like that theory. Because I think she is that type of person where it's like, I'd rather not have known this side of you and like live in a world where you just disappeared than
totally. Yeah. And it's like I don't know if you've seen the We Can't Be Friends music video from Ariana Grande. That was the first thing I thought of.
Oh, yeah.
When she's like, she goes into the clinic to get her memories wiped. So that's my thought.
I've not watched it, but I've watched that part.
Oh my God, you have to watch it. It's so good. But yeah.
No, like I will cry.
So that's my thought. But here's the thing. Now I'm gonna jump into my big theory. I hope everybody's ready. Strap in. So
I hope my computer survives this. I mean, my camera.
If not, you let me know. We'll come back to it. So Xaden left her a note saying, don't look for me. It's yours now. I saw on TikTok, there's no way that he's referring to Tyrandor in this, because when has he ever referred to Tyrandor as an it? He always said she. He's like, she's this, correct, she's that. He never refers to Tyrandor as an it. So going back to the soul thing, I think that he was able somehow to put the last piece of his soul that he held onto, that little thread. He went to the Dune Temple people and was like, look, I've lost the entire rest of my soul. Just take what's left of it and put it into this ring for Violet. So I think that last bit of his soul, I think he's full bad now. I think he's lost. I think he's gone. I think that's why she wanted the memories wiped, because he was so evil now. The last bit of his soul is put into this ring. And when he says, it's yours now, he means my soul is yours now. Not Tyrandor.
Yeah.
Because Bodhi, I think, is still around. So Bodhi, it's Tyrandor's is Bodhi's or whatever. I guess it would still be hers because they got married. So.
Oh, I guess. Okay.
Here's the other thing. Coming back to Loisum, a.k.a. the Isle of Love, Loyal. Earlier in the book, it said, while most deities allow temple attendants to choose their timeline of service, only 2 require a lifetime of dedication, Dune and Loyal. For both war and love change souls irrevocably. Love changes your soul irrevocably. I think that means Loyal, a.k.a. the god of love, a.k.a. true love, is the answer.
True love's kiss.
Which is like so dumb because like, oh, true love is the answer. But like, come on. They never made it to the island of love and war changed souls irrevocably. And now the last bit of his soul is in her wedding ring. So I think she needs to go to Loisum, a.k.a. the Isle of Love. Boom. They're cured.
I think she needs to get there. If she will be allowed, who knows? But I also think that maybe in a way, like, or maybe it's what you're saying, like his love for her changed his soul from the beginning. So it's like when it's supposed to be taking parts of you become envenomed, it's actually like it's done it a bit differently because his soul's already been changed. Is that what you mean?
Yes. And I just think that like there's no way that they would specifically say war and love change souls irrevocably because soul has been like, that's the whole thing about being venom. It's you lose your soul. It's flaking away, whatever. So I feel like that has to be key. Like love is the answer. You know what I mean?
No, let the record show Niki's notes, all caps. Love is
the key. Which I do think is like kind of a dumb cop out, but it's sweet because it's like, oh, of course, like true love is the answer. But like, true love is the answer.
True love's kiss.
You know?
Okay. I mean, we'll find out in about a year and a half.
Oh, I wish we had it sooner, Rebecca. Please. I know she needs to take a break for her mental health. I'll allow it, but
yeah.
Dang.
I want to know. I know. So I haven't personally seen any like theories except for what Niki sent me, but I'm sure there's like so much more.
There's
out
so
there
many.
because I'm so bad at that. I'm good at like the foreshadowing, but I'm never really good at building like, ooh, this could mean this and this and this and this, and then this is gonna happen. So, oh my gosh.
That's it. I
will say I liked it. I liked the second and the first book a lot more because I loved Xaden then, and now I don't love Xaden. So
see, I didn't like Xaden as much in the second book. I thought that he was being like a real, because that was the miscommunication book where he was just being so like, well, you didn't ask me directly. Like he was like lying to her the whole time, and it was so annoying. But I feel like in this book, he really stepped it up and was like, I'm doing this for you. Like I'm trying my very best to be with you. And he tried so hard. He just wants to be good, Mariana. This poor guy with all his mommy drama, he's had the short end of the stick. All he wants to do is protect. And he keeps doing a bad job, but it's because he's trying so hard.
Did you send me this? The theory of like how he calls her love in this book because he like...
I will start crying like dead ass right now. Yeah, he switches to calling her love because he's trying to remind himself like, I can still love. Because then Theophanie's like, well, Venons, they can't love. And she's like, what do you mean? But it's like, well, Theophany, you can't love because you're a hard, cold, soulless bitch. But Xaden can love because he's my Shayla.
Because he loves me.
Yeah, and he's calling her love. Like, I will literally cry right now. Don't even start.
Okay, I won't because I don't like Xaden.
You are so canceled. I can't believe after everything that I just pitched to you.
No, I am being stubborn.
Well, are you going to forgive him if he tries his best in the next book?
You just told me that he's full evil. So
well, I do think he's full evil. But I think that when they somehow go to the island of Loyal and get something happening with the love, potion, it'll fix itself.
I don't know.
Well, okay. One more theory that I feel like we also need to discuss. Some people are thinking that Taryn and Sigale are going to have their bond broken / like did get their bond broken. Because that way Sigale can go with Xaden off on his evil adventures and doesn't need to be with Taryn.
But she felt so betrayed. I don't think she would do that.
I know, but do you think she's more loyal to Taryn than she is to Xaden? Because I feel like a rider and their dragon it's like a stronger bond.
But they're mates, like.
I know. But then Andarna, because if Andarna can break bonds and reforge them, like why not break the bond between Taryn and Sigale for them? And then later she can for me back.
I'm so curious. Like, I'm just gonna write my own book from here.
I know. We need some fanfic up in here.
No.
Do you have any extra things you want to add?
No, I just want to say, like, I may or may not get hate regarding my Zayden comments. Just know that, like, I don't regret anything I said. I really do.
When you come out with an apology video in 2 weeks, I'll be laughing. You're like, hi, I'd like to apologize. I'm listening and learning.
I'm listening and I'm learning, and I'm learning that no. I just this is how I feel. Like, when I finished the book, Nick, like, I was like confused. I did not feel any emotions. They also only hung out with each other like twice in the book. I was like, okay. And then
oh, you mean like got busy?
I just felt like yeah,
because he couldn't, because he was literally suffering. So I'm sorry that my Shayla was doing his best. Leave him alone. Leave my Zayden. Leave Brittany alone.
No, I will leave him alone because I don't want to read about him anymore. But you know what? I might go read the first book again.
Yeah, and
I loved him then. When
you're back on the Zayden train, then you I can't believe it. Anyways, sound off in the comments and let us know whose side you're on. Interesting.
I mean, I'm on the side of love, where like love doesn't betray you.
Yeah, that's why he didn't betray her. That's why he didn't betray her. That's why he literally saved her and gave her his soul in a ring. I need to ask Ricky, is your soul in this ring? Why didn't you break off a piece of your soul and imbue it by done into my ring? Maybe he did. I don't know.
Yeah, what the frick? Maybe he did. I feel he did. Actually, I think he told me he did.
Yeah, he went to the jeweler and he's like, hey, by the way, can we like infuse my soul into this ring?
They're like, get out
yeah,
of
they're
here.
like, this is not a magical fantasy land, but okay.
I mean, it is, but sure.
This is crazy. I feel like we can't.
Can we do the last question about the Taylor Swift thing?
Okay, that's what we'll end on, because I feel like this video is so long. Thank you if you're still listening. Basically, Rebecca Yarros always makes a playlist. She put out a playlist for this book about the songs that she like thought about and listened to while she was writing, and then songs that she think like represent the book. And she's a big Swiftie. So during an interview, they asked her like, what can you tell us about the next book? And she was like, well, I have the first song for my playlist, but like, I can't tell you guys what it is because it's too sad. Everybody's going to freak out. And they're like, okay, just like, can you tell us anything? Is it a Taylor Swift song? And she said, yes, it's a Taylor Swift song off of Tortured Poets Department. So
a favorite.
What song do you think that is basically the question.
So my guess was one of my favorite songs, Peter, because it's about,
you said you were going to grow up.
And like, Zayden, you literally said you would not do this.
Yeah.
And you did it.
Yeah, and how she's like waiting for him. I'd hoped you'd return with your feet on the ground, showed me all that you've learned. Because love's never lost when perspective is earned.
But yes,
that's crazy.
So Peter is my nomination. Peter is also just one of my favorite songs. So.
Or you said Love of My Life.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, he said Love of My Life.
Love of My Life is also really good.
Because he betrayed her.
But I feel like it can't be that.
But it's also not Love of My Life. It's Loss of My Life.
I know. LOL Mel.
And he betrayed her.
Okay, well, you're going to freak when you hear mine. Did you already see it on the document? How did it end?
Oh.
Because, well, first of all, LOL, she literally doesn't know how it ended because she got her memory wiped. But also the line, a touch that was my birthright became foreign. Like, doesn't that give you chills? That gives me chills.
No, every single time. I think that is like my second favorite song on the album.
God,
first
it's
is
so
London,
good.
and then it's this one, and then it's Peter, and then it's Chloe or Marcus Sophia or Marcus Summer Sophia.
We have a really different ranking, but How Did It End is a masterpiece. And like,
I love that song.
Silenced as the Soul Was Leaving. Tell me that's not what it is. Oh my God.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right.
I don't know. I hope I'm not, because that's really like traumatic. Oh my God. Did your Octobuddy just drop?
Yeah.
I think this is a sign that we need to get off of this stream or this video.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this really, really long, in-depth, deep dive into Onyx Storm. I had a great time, even though Mariana is a big fat Zayden hater, but that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their wrong opinions.
I had a lot of fun.
No, I actually had fun. I like hearing your side of things or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever.
Well, thank you for staying up until 11 p.m. for us.
11:23.
Yeah, everyone
started earlier.
In the comments, everyone say thank you, Mariana.
Technical difficulties treat us well.
Yeah, we're going to go try and edit this. But we love you guys. We'll be back hopefully very soon with a new episode. Our goal is to be posting Mondays on a regular schedule. So keep an eye, follow us on everything, join us on Fable, all the things, and we'll hopefully see you very soon.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye, friends.